Good evening, y'all. It's Sunday night, February 1st, 2026, and it's been a wild weekend of sorts. Down here in St. Pete, we had snow flurries last night for the first time in 16 years. Lots of people are digging through the Epstein files dump and already found lots of crazy stuff. And of course, the left has gone full on riot mode, destroying federal property around the country, hijacking an entire Target store, making a giant human SOS sign in the middle of a frozen lake. Also, they shut down public schools on Friday and they took the children to anti-ICE protests and so on and so forth. So I've got a ton of stuff to dig through, probably about 120 different pieces of content in total. So hopefully I have enough time to get to the very end. So I guess without further ado, I'll just dive straight in. Oh, by the way, if you enjoyed the video, please give the video a quick like if you got a second, and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the daily content. I host The Swamp Monday through Friday at 11 p.m. Eastern, where I cover everything going on in the federal machine by following all the social media accounts of the federal machine. And any article, if I happen to open up any articles during this video, they will be linked in the description below. And if I repost anything such as this, if I click the repost button, then you can go down in the description. There's a link to my profile, which takes you directly to these posts. And I did verify you do not have to be signed in to the X platform in order to view content. So if you're not signed up to use it, like with Instagram, for instance, with Instagram, you got to be signed in order to view anything. That is not the case on X. You can just click on my link in the description below to my profile and you can view everything that I repost in this video. So we're going to start right here with breaking 911. The first thing I'm going to cover is the Epstein stuff, and there is a lot of it. After the Epstein stuff, I'll get into all of the riots that happened across the country over the weekend, I believe starting with Friday afternoon, really, because I do have some videos with students. Not only high school students, but elementary school students that were participating in quote-unquote protesting, which I'd say quote-unquote because it's just a soft form of rioting at this point. So anyway, new Jeffrey Epstein video release. I have not seen any of these videos. I browsed through some of the emails. There's a lot of Epstein emails. That's the bulk of the documents that people were digging through and sharing. A lot of people are involved with Epstein. Quite a few actually surprised me. So let's start with this video and see what happens here. Okay, well, not much to see there. Just Jeffrey Epstein being weird as hell. All right, so we'll go ahead and, oh yeah, I forgot to put on the background music. All right, we're all good now. So Officer Lou breaking: TMZ founder Harvey Levin is named in the Epstein files. Did you know this? Described as a good friend who could help run a global PR effort to defend convicted pedo Jeffrey Epstein and smear his victims and accusers. Yet TMZ has stayed eerily silent on the entire document dump. Ain't that weird? Now, I completely lost, what little microgram of respect that I had of TMZ in the first place. That went straight out the window when they refused to fire those employees who were celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. You happen to remember that. So I haven't even given TMZ the time of day ever since then. Matter of fact, anytime that I do come across anything, which I don't think I have since Charlie Kirk, but if I have to share something that's posted by TMZ, I actually have certain emojis and whatnot ready for the thumbnail if I have to. So, all right. So anyway, there he is. That's Harvey Levin right there. And here is the email. It's not in the greatest quality, for crying out loud. All right, whatever. So I'll just read it to the best of my ability. So it's from Mike Citrick to Jeffrey Epstein. Tried to call you. Harvey Levin, who runs TMZ, is a good friend. They haven't reported on this at all, but I might be able to get him to do something on the Duchess and her backpedaling. That was way back on 2011, March 9th. So the reply to this, just double checking to make sure that it was indeed a reply. Actually, no, I think it starts at the bottom and works up, doesn't it? Okay. All right, my bad. So I'm going to read it from the bottom to the top. That way I can just read it in order. So it's from Jeffrey Epstein initially, Wednesday, March 9th, 2011 at 9:30 a.m. to Mike Citrick. And Jeffrey Epstein says, Zuckerman suggested shorter, punchier, no attack on press, plead guilty to solicitation, no tabloid exaggeration of pedophilia, J.E. paid a price, no allegations of minors since 2005, suggests leaking to London press the absurdity of Fergie's statements. There were law enforcement people in my office when I was on work release that let her, and then it just goes on from there. Let me see. Nope. Looks like that's all they decided to share. But anyway, the reply to that was, I'll save for the right time. I'll save for the right time. And that was only about a half hour after the initial post was when this individual replied, Mike Citrick. And let's see, another follow-up from Mike Citrick says, tried to call you. Harvey Levin, who runs TMZ, is a good friend. They haven't reported on this at all, but I might be able to get him to do something on the Duchess and her backpedaling. So now that I already read that once, we'll move on to Liz Churchill. Bill Gates, of course, we all know Bill Gates was all buddy-buddy with Jeffrey Epstein. So let's see. Bill Gates was planning pandemic simulations with Jeffrey Epstein way back in 2017. Pandemic simulations?
Now here we are. We didn't simulate this. We didn't practice.
On behalf of our partners in the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
So both the health policies and economic policies, we find ourselves in uncharted territory.
Oh, good grief. All right, whatever. So this email looks like it is to Jeffrey Epstein. So anytime you see JEE vacation@gmail.com, that is Jeffrey Epstein's email account, which is, I believe it's not his only one that he used, but from what I've seen, it's the most common one that he's used to communicate. So let's see. This was back, of course, on 2017, as they said, on March 3rd at 10:33 at night. And it is addressed to Bill Gates. And it says it right there, Bill Gates. And CC Larry Cohen. And the subject, BGC3 deliverables and scope. Bill, Larry and I have been working on deliverables for my time at BGC3 since you and I spoke. At Larry's request, and it gets cut off here. I don't know why the hell they do this. Spoken with Roger, Mark, Chris, Trevor, Jeff, and next week, Bose and Jonah. Everyone has offered guidance and thoughts and ideas. As Larry works to put together any required documentation, we're trying to make sure we make this time valuable. 2 areas where I'm interested in terms of scope: domestic health and neurotech brain science. I propose these as deliverables. Please let Larry and I know what you think. Deliverables, let's see, number 1, to improve access and secure personal health data, blueprint and or recommendations for a zero-knowledge proof-based digital system to secure private personal health information, allowing access to digitally redacted personal information. Why the hell does Jeffrey Epstein even give a shit about any of this? White paper on consumer health expenditures in the USA. White paper and or recommendations on neurotechnologies related to chronic and degenerative disease. White paper on neurotechnologies as weapons in national intelligence and defense. And now we're getting to the highlighted portion down here. Number 5, follow-up recommendations and or technical specifications for strain pandemic simulation. Happy to do whatever else is helpful or adapt along the way. Thanks for the opportunity. Hope the weekend is off to a good start. So there you go. And that was, let's see. So it says it's to Jeffrey Epstein. They've got the from redacted, and that's the most recent message saying mail to both. But this one, the one that I just read, it says sent Friday, March 3rd. From is redacted conveniently. So I guess there's really no definitive proof that this really actually came from Epstein, I guess, even though the follow-up, the from is redacted. The to is Jeffrey Epstein's email. So the most recent email was sent to Jeffrey Epstein definitively. And this initial one was sent to Bill Gates from, I don't know. But I guess it doesn't take a rocket scientist to conclude that it was most likely Jeffrey Epstein, since the most recent one was what appears to be a reply to this email address or this email message. So anyway, that's what they have as far as Bill Gates most recently. And that was from 8 hours ago. This was from yesterday. And Tunis, Jeffrey Epstein, did you torture her? And Martin Nowak is a Harvard professor. So when you look at this email message, it's to Martin Nowak, who, according to Antunes, is a Harvard professor. So I'm going to take everything with a grain of salt, because at the end of the day, this is the X platform. There was some messages, some emails, there were some posts that were circulating around that were community noted, fact-checking these emails. But as far as the ones that I came across, I tried to pull only the ones that were not community noted because I don't want to share a bunch of stuff that we already know to be fake because it was community noted and corrected by them saying this is fake. So, but yeah, like I said, I'd take this with a grain of salt. Not to say that this guy is wrong in any way. Look, Martin Nowak, it'd probably take 2 seconds to find out if he's a Harvard professor. And we've got that actually right here. Where is it? Martin Nowak biography. That's all I typed in. Simple Google search. Nothing more than that. Just those 3 words. Martin A. Nowak, born 1965, is an Austrian-born mathematical biologist and professor at Harvard University. So, you know, it only takes like a 2-second search to conclude that, yep, looks like Harvard professor to me. So, to Martin Nowak from Jeffrey Epstein. This was back on March the 10th of 2014. And all he said was, did you torture her? And the message beforehand on March 10th, 2014 at 7:07 a.m. from Martin Nowak wrote, our spy was captured after completing her mission. That's all we got. They didn't include anything else other than that. So I don't know if there's more to dig up. Maybe they'll find some follow-up emails. After all, the DOJ released over 3 million pages of files. So there might be follow-ups to this and any other thing that I come across during this video. There may, if it's something as vague as this, they might find follow-up information because who knows, it might be in this batch or over in that batch. Maybe this came from one court case and they might find the follow-up to this message in some other court case. I can only imagine how long that this is going to take to piece together all 3 million of these individual pages, or maybe it's up to 4 million at this point if you include the ones that were dropped back in December. So somebody might actually take these countless thousands of emails and they might actually put them in a beginning to end timeline, because the email that I read prior to this was back in 2011. So somebody might actually take the painstaking effort to just line every email in all of the Epstein files in sequential order in a timeline, or maybe somebody could get AI to do it. It sounds like something AI should be able to do. So anyway, so I asked if Grok could provide the document ID and direct link to this email within the Epstein files. That way we can find out, is this actually real, or are we just getting trolled? Is this guy just making up shit and this isn't actually in the Epstein files? I decided for everything that I'm going to go through, I did ask Grok this same question just to see if it'll say, no, there isn't anything in the Epstein files that corroborates with this, or it'll give a message like this. The email is from a 2014 exchange in the recently released Epstein files by the U.S. Justice Department. Document ID, and the document ID is EFTA 009844937. So that sounds legitimate enough to be me, or for me. So dataset 9, direct link justice.gov/Epstein/files. Access may be restricted. Context, Nowak mentioned a spy captured. Epstein replied, did you torture her? No wrongdoing alleged against Nowak, which I find to be highly suspicious. I mean, that sounds like it could have gone into a very incriminating direction very, very quickly. So what was the follow-up? Was that really every single thing with regard to that exchange? I somehow doubt it. So it's probably going to ask, well, first it'll ask the robot, then it'll ask if you're 18 years of age or older. Of course I am. It's just a simple email. They're putting that 18-year-old verification because as the FBI and the DOJ mentioned in this documents dump, there may be corn. Yeah, that's right. I can't say the actual word because we're here on YouTube. Pornographic material that's in these Epstein files. So you got to be 18. Anyway, there it is. There's the email right there, black and white. Exactly the same as what old dude posted, Antunes. So it's legitimate. And of course, like I said, everything I click on, all of these I will have linked in the description below, every one of them. So if you want to go have a look at it yourself, some of these posts are going to be quite long, or emails, I mean. There's going to be some that are going to be long, so I may not have time to read through every single word. So like I said, I'll repost every one that I don't have time to read, or that I'm unable to read all of it. And then I'll also provide the direct link to where you can find that in the Epstein files on justice.gov. So this is from Elon Musk only about 4 hours ago. This is how I knew so long ago that Reid Hoffman went to Epstein Island. Epstein used Reid being there to try to get me to go, not realizing that it would have the opposite effect. LMAO. So let's see. From Jeffrey Epstein to Elon Musk, Reed was on the island last weekend. Do you think you will be in the Caribbean for Christmas or New Year's? And that's it. Now, on Friday, I shared an email that Elon Musk had written to Jeffrey Epstein, or at least it was alleged. No, it wasn't alleged. I actually did the same thing. I asked Grok to provide the proof that it is in the Epstein files, and it did provide me proof. So it is indeed in the Epstein files. And Elon Musk sent an email to Jeffrey Epstein asking something somewhere along this line right here. It was like around Christmas time or something. And Elon said he was going to be in the British Virgin Islands, and he was thinking about stopping by Little James Island. So it sounds related to this. It sounds it appears that it was probably in the same time frame, 2014. I think that was the one that I read on Friday from Elon Musk to Jeffrey Epstein. I think it was in the same year. All right, so anyway, we'll move on from there. Jackson Hinkle. Oh, wait, by the way, I forgot. Did I ask the question? Oh, no, I didn't. All right, never mind. I'll move on. And Jackson Hinkle, breaking Peggy Siegel, one of Hollywood's most powerful publicists, told Epstein, can bring a little baby back for you or two. Boys, girls, so Madonna, satanic. What the hell? I haven't even heard of this woman before. I have no freaking clue who she is. She doesn't look like the nicest lady in the world, though. All right, so this is from Jeffrey Epstein to Peggy Siegel. So it's going to be way back in 2009 on December the 18th. The subject is Kenya. On the plane now with Maddie. We are about to take off for Amsterdam to Nairobi. We land in the morning of the 19th in Amsterdam and late evening of the 19th in Nairobi. On Sunday morning, we will fly into the bush to Cotter's Camp in the Masai Mara, then to Sisab in 24th through 26th. Then on 26th to Lamu to Peponi Hotel and back January 4th. We cannot thank you enough. We cannot thank you enough. Yet another life experience. If the Maasai warriors don't eat us, the pirates from Somalia will. Coming to PB to see you in January, taking photos. We'll have a bowl and think of you all the time. Dude, this person is a publicist and they can't write for shit, man. It's so frustrating with a lot of these emails, man. These people suck at writing emails. Can bring a little baby back for you or two. Boys or girls, so Madonna. And that was the highlighted portion, of course. We'll email when we get to Amsterdam. And then it finishes up with saying, saw Sarah, the Duchess, on Today's Show and Regis today. She was very compelling. A tad sad that she repeatedly said the monarchy pulled her and Andrew apart when they were married, just like monarchy tried to control Victoria in her youth. Bet the Queen is thrilled Fergie's failed marriage is her fault, but Sarah was very charming on TV. Sorry we didn't do the lunch. We were all too rushed to get out of town. Totally miss you. XOXO Peggy. Peggy, the publicist who really sucks at writing emails. Okay. So moving to, oh yeah, see, I'm going to forget the first couple times that I did this. So, all right, here we go. Provide the document ID, direct link to this email within the Epstein files based on the review of the unsealed Epstein files 2009 email from Peggy Siegel about her Kenya trip, which is indeed in the Epstein files. It doesn't mention babies, boys, girls, or Madonna. Really? It describes her safari plans. All right, well, let's take a look at the full PDF then. Let's see. See, did somebody, wait, so did, what's his name? Did Jackson Hinkle, did he stick something in there that really actually wasn't in there? See, I'm telling you, man, you got to take this stuff with a grain of salt. That's why I asked Grok to link it all. So let's see. Okay, so this is what Grok shared. Okay, yeah, it doesn't even look like the same email. All right, hold on. 12/19 of 2009 at 8:25 a.m. See, that's 12/18 of 2009 at 10:18 p.m. So this email that Grok shared is the day after. So I don't know if Grok made a mistake and just didn't share the right one. So the full PDF. Okay, hold on. If this refers to a different document, please provide more details. All right, well, now that I'm already recording the video, I'm not going to have that ability to do so. But anyway, at least we got a follow-up. So I'm just going to assume, with grain of salt, that the email we just read is legit. So this would be the follow-up. You will be amazed by the aroma. which initially, so on Saturday, December 19th at 3:24 a.m., Peggy Siegel wrote, "We are sitting in the Amsterdam airport about to take off for Nairobi, headed to Cotter's Camp in the Masai Mara. Got Maddie in tow. She is dressed as a runaway in ripped jeans and a hoodie and sits on the floor of every airport repacking her knapsack. She is now passed out like the homeless. We'll take photos and send? What the We are going to photograph ourselves with the Maasai in the mud huts and say we crashed the winter White House and are posing with Obama's relatives. Miss you, keep you posted. Did you see Sarah, the D, on TV or speak to her? XOXO Peg." All right, well, that first paragraph was creepy as hell. And we shall roll to the next. Pamphlets breaking. The Dalai Lama repeatedly met with Jeffrey Epstein, according to newly released emails. All right, well, it sounds like the Dalai Lama's wrapped up into this too. October 21st, 2012. That was 11:12 a.m. Okay, so I'm going to read bottom to top because that's the order they're going. And October 20th of 2012, all it says is tomorrow. Looks like that was from Jeffrey Epstein. And, you know, I don't know how they directly relate this to the Dalai Lama other than event with Dalai Lama. You know, aside from that, this wasn't from the Dalai Lama. At least I assume it wasn't. But anyway, the follow-up to the tomorrow question is, wow, OMG, that's fast. I thought because Ukrainian, ... So sorry, I wish I could come today. But could I see such and such event with Dalai Lama, then birthday dinner with Anastasia? And then it goes on to say it's something. October 21st, 11:12 a.m., the follow-up. You don't ask if I need help. I told you yesterday something weak because they cut the freaking thing in half, which is really annoying. But that's it. That's all they shared. So I did ask, and we'll see if we get anything out of it. Let's see. The claim appears to be based on a 2025 anecdote from journalist Michael Wolff about seeing him at Epstein's house. Not new emails. No document ID or direct link available. So this is not in the Epstein files. Couldn't find any emails mentioning the Dalai Lama meeting Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, so this is not real. It's fake. At least as it pertains to the Jeffrey Epstein files dump. That is not real. Debunked. At least it's debunked here. Right here on the swamp. All right, Viva Fry. So Jeffrey Epstein was colluding with quote-unquote journalist Michael Wolff to obtain compromising Trump information from Epstein, which Epstein admitted they did not even have. Michael Wolff, NYC. Is that what you two were doing here? Strange bedfellow to have, Wolff. So this email, it rambles on like crazy, so I'm not going to read it word for word. I'll just read the first few lines, and I might skip a little bit. Obviously, the highlighted portion is the portion that they believe is the most pertinent to the email. So it starts, let's see, from J-E-E vacation. Of course, that's Jeffrey Epstein. So this is who's writing this email message, the one that rambles on. It's Jeffrey Epstein. Interestingly, it says from Jeffrey Epstein to Jeffrey Epstein. So I don't know if he was just writing a note to self or what that's all about. But the one that's up here at the very top, it says to Michael Wolff, and it just says have fun. So that was the follow-up to this long-winded message. It doesn't appear that this was sent to Michael Wolff, but they do have a reply have fun attached to this. So anyway, it says prostitution is a state crime, and never before a man in his own house charged with soliciting. In Florida, first offenders are required to take a sex ed class and get pretrial diversion. By the way, this is in 2019, February 1st. So this is the day that he... So no criminal record. There is a felony solicitation for the third offense. A grand jury was held, and they found me guilty of one count of felony solicitation because there were many girls. Mandatory diversion sentence. A grand jury usually only for capital murder cases. Ricari and Rader, police chief, pulled my garbage for months and surveilled my house, letting all the girls come and go. Called in the FBI. They did not like the grand jury result and released to the press the raw sewage of police interviews, i.e. no girl was cross-examined ever, so on and so forth. Redacted, worked at Mar-a-Lago. Trump knew of it and came to my house many times during that period. The testimony of the houseman, John Alessi, confirmed it. He never got a message. Abe Gozman, a friend of mine, ran into financial difficulty with assisted living homes, and then it goes on from there. This is back in 2019. This was during basically the height of the whole Russia collusion nonsense when they were in full-on impeachment mode. They were desperately digging up anything they could find on Trump. And so I'm not exactly going to believe what Jeffrey Epstein's saying here, because I think he would have quite a few incentives to just throw this into an email and hope that it sticks. Let's see. So here near the bottom, 3 years later, 2008, he sells it to Ryaboluv, whoever that is, for approximately 100 million. He's talking about like a website or a company or something that was sold. So it just rambles on, talking about financials and getting paid large sums of money, some individual. So anyway, so there's that. I will repost it. Oh, matter of fact, I forgot to double check to make sure. Let's see. All right, so let me repost that first. Open this up and see if it's verified. The relevant emails are part of the House Oversight Committee's November 2025 release, specifically in the file 3 emails redacted.pdf containing email between Epstein and Wolf about Trump. And here is the direct link right here. And there you have it. That would be it. So yeah, it looks like the individual who shared this on X or Viva Fry, it looks like they just compressed it all together, all 3 of these documents into a single one. But yeah, it appears to be it. That looks like it. So it didn't look like it included this, though, on the one on X. It says, I hear CNN planning to ask Trump tonight about his relationship with you, either on air or in scrum afterwards. And that was December 15th of 2015, so 4 years earlier, or 3 years earlier. And then there was a follow-up Tuesday, December 15th, a couple hours after that one. If we were able to craft an answer for him, what do you think it should be? And then the follow-up to that from Michael Wolff says, I think you should let him hang himself. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the House, then that gives you a valuable PR and political currency. You can hang him in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you, or if it really looks like he could win, you could save him, generating a debt. Of course, it is possible that when asked, he'll say Jeffrey is a great guy and has gotten a raw deal and is a victim of political correctness, which is to be outlawed in a Trump regime. Of course, it didn't go that way at all now, did it? I definitely remember the mainstream talking about that email in particular. And let's roll on to the next. There's a bunch of these, man. So I'm trying to pick up the pace a little bit. Joshua Reed Eagle. Do you remember QAnon? The MAGA conspiracy that originated on 4chan's poll board that claimed the country was secretly run by a satanic pedo cult that arred and murdered children, and that Donald Trump was the hero destined to expose it all. Turns out the founder of 4chan and poll was friends with Jeffrey Epstein. His name showed up in yesterday's document dump. All right, well, we will get to the bottom of that and see if it indeed was in there. To Jeffrey Epstein from Boris Nikolic. So I'm assuming that guy's the founder of 4chan. I'll just take him at his word. But again, you could just simply Google search it. It's Boris, B-O-R-I-S, last name Nikolic. I'm assuming he is. And so the email reads as follows. Last night and this morning in SF, assuming San Francisco, Fun also met some interesting people. There is a cool guy, in parentheses it says kid, that you should meet. And there's a Wikipedia to Christopher Poole with an E. He is only 23. Read his bio. The rest of the day in Seattle in MTG. Tomorrow morning for NYC. What is a plan? Woody, ? Have you tickets? ? Can't wait to see you. B. And that's it. And was there a follow-up? Oh, okay. Okay, so this was previous. See, I need to go to the end and then work my way to the beginning. I'm not exactly, I don't exactly use email all that much these days, so I always forget that the oldest emails are generally on the bottom and they work their way up. But anyway, let me see if this is, because it actually moved. Okay, so let me just take a look. All right, so this was the only one that he shared. The other images are for like the post following this, but there you go. Let me double check to see what Grok had said. Oh, okay, so here's the follow-up. Okay, my bad. This was the follow-up that he had in addition to this one that I already read. Guys, I mean, for crying out loud, there are multiple mentions of pizza-related logistics in the Epstein files. The real Pizzagate? I mean, Alex Jones, he's been pretty outspoken with regard to Pizzagate, and even this weekend he discovered some emails that really seemed to really enhance the conspiracy that is of Pizzagate is actually true. All right, so, all right, let me see if I should go back here. So November 5th, 2014, that is May 25th, 2017. Okay, so these, it doesn't look like that they're actually a single email chain because these are all on different dates, even different years. So on July 31st, 2014, Slayton Bobby, Slayton Bobby, Bobby, the subject, read Jeffrey 630. Sounds good to me. One can never have too much pizza. And underneath that, it says, holy shit, I am sitting. As a matter of fact, I'm sitting on the number Q subway, making a pilgrimage to DeFaros Pizza in Brooklyn and then to Taunus and Coney Island. So then it goes on to talk about pizza and pizza. Let's see, sit down because I know you won't believe this. Are you sitting? Jeffrey says he wants to go to a pizza place with you. It doesn't matter one way or the other. I don't eat till 8-9, August 9 usually anyway. Yep, a bottle of red is always good, but I'll find out about food. Are we eating or just hanging? Need to know if I need to bring a bottle of red. Actually, even if we just be hanging, wine is always good. Superb. Yup. Morning, reconfirming you will come see Jeffrey at 6:30 tonight. All right, so the next one from Leslie Groff to Slayton Bobby. Haha, no, I don't need a pizza, but thank you for offering. And previous to that, leaving tomorrow morning early. And yes, of course, we will be there at 4. You need a pizza or anything? Question mark. Hello, Bobby. Have you been having a great time? Or hope you've been having a great time with your honey. Reconfirming you will both come see Jeffrey at 4 p.m. today. All right, let's go to the next one. So, all right, so starting from the bottom, May 25th, 2017. Hi, Jojo. Jeffrey would like you to go to Arturo's today and buy a large cheese pizza for Bobby Slayton, staying at 301, and deliver it to the apartments, in parentheses, 7J. Arturo's opens at 4 p.m. Be there when they open and order the pizza then. Deliver to 301. Bobby may or may not be there. He hopes to be at the apartment between 4 and 5:30 p.m. I guess if he is not there, you must leave with the doorman with one of J.E.'s cards that reads compliments of Jeffrey Epstein. Right on the card, Arturo's Pizza for Bobby. And the follow-up, let's see. So it was the same day, less than an hour later. Let's see. It said, okay. Actually, that was just a half hour later. And then the follow-up after that was, let me know once done and if Bobby is there or not so I can tell J.E., Jeffrey Epstein. And reminder, George Church is vegan. Please see below and advise. This is to Jeffrey Epstein back in 2014. Hi, I called around and these 3 restaurants, menu links below, can deliver for 8 p.m. Sunday, November 30th. And they've got links to what appears to be restaurants. Whether if they are or not, I don't know. I guess if you really want, you can actually, try to visit them and see if they are actual restaurants. I'll repost that if you want to look at those. And that looks like that's it for those. And let's take a look. Can you provide a document ID? The email exchange between Epstein and Boris Nikolek mentioning Christopher Poole, 4chan founder, appears in the January 31st, 2026 DOJ Epstein file release. Reported document ID. Direct link. We got it right here. So it was indeed in the Epstein files from just this past week when they released everything. Now let's roll on. Let's roll on to the next. What else do we got here? So Invisidon, NYPD detective working on the Epstein case in 2010 was concerned that the FBI was compromised and was afraid for his life if the powerful people involved in the case found out who he was. My guess, RIP, anonymous patriot. So let me first take a look at the reply. After searching FBI vault releases and recent Justice Department Epstein files, I could not locate a public document matching this exact memo. It appears to be an FBI intake report from 2019 referencing a 2010 call, but no specific ID or direct link was found in available sources. If it's from a new release, it may not be indexed yet. I mean, I guess. The subject, Epstein Task Force information, unclassified from 2019 July. Task Force officer, I am a threat intake examiner at the FBI National Threat Operations Center, where we receive information from the public about potential FBI investigations. Following information is being forwarded to your situational awareness. Any action deemed appropriate. On July 10th, 2010 at 1:05 p.m., anonymous caller, telephone number, personal identifiers unknown, called the FBI National Threat Operations Center regarding receiving a telephone call from a man claiming to be a detective from New York City Police working on the task force for the Epstein case. Anonymous is concerned the FBI has been compromised. Anonymous would like a call back from detectives so he can know his life isn't in danger due to the powerful people involved in the case. Please advise if you need any more assistance. And they redacted a bunch of stuff out. Okay. One more. There we go. From pamphlets, breaking Epstein associate and former U.S. ambassador to Mexico, Wayne impregnated an 11-year-old girl. What? Did this really happen? Okay, I definitely got to check and verify this first. All right, let's see. Where is it? It's going to be way down here. They actually posted a whole bunch of these follow-ups. So I'll definitely be reposting this initial one because I don't have time to go through all of these. I mean, look, if I went through everything that I've got laid out word for word, it'd probably take me like 8 hours to go through all of it, which I'd love to do it, but I just simply don't have time, man. I got work in the morning. So, Grok, can you provide the document ID? I searched the public Epstein court documents from the Giuffre versus Maxwell case and found no mentions of Earl Anthony Wayne, the U.S. ambassador to Mexico, or any email with ID EFTA00165 related to the claims. No such document exists in those files. All right. So there you go. Apparently, this is not in the Epstein files. So take that for what it is. Doesn't say anything about it. So I'm just going to move right on. If it says that it's not in there, I'm not saying that it's not in there. Of course, Grok, it's an AI bot. I'm not saying it can't be wrong. It obviously can be wrong. However, if it says that it's not in there, I'm just going to assume that it isn't. I'm just going to move on. So anyway, which, by the way, if you want to see this for yourself, look, here's the name of the account who posted this. Pamphlets Y, PAMPHLETSY. So you can go to x.com, pretty simple, and then you can go to search, which is right here, explore. Just type in that username. It'll pop right up, click on it, and it's from January 31st at 6:57 p.m. Extremely easy to find it now that you got the date and the exact time where you can go and read all of that yourself. Just in case you're pissed off that I didn't go through it. At least now you know it's actually quite easy to go read it for yourself. It's kind of nice about the X platform. It's really easy to get to navigate your way around as soon as you get used to it, at least, once you get the basics. So Tommy Robinson, Jeffrey Epstein sent Peter Mandelson $75,000. Starmer made him U.S. ambassador. He's still in the House of Lords and still a member of Keir Starmer's Labor Party. This is Mandelson at Epstein's home in his underpants. It's a big club. We must see arrests. And I'm assuming that this is in the images dump. As the FBI and DOJ stated, there were tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of individual images that they released just the other day. And I'm assuming this is among them. And that's the guy. I'm not familiar with him. I'm not British. I don't know if you could tell by my accent. Not too familiar with British politics. So, if that's what he says, that's what it is. I don't think that I asked Grok this one. I think I pretty much, I didn't. I pretty much asked Grok whenever it pertained to email messages and not photos. All right, so January 31st, Prince Andrew bought a kid and R'd him, then ritually sacrificed him? Oh my God, what? This can't be real. Is this really real? Can you provide the document ID? The quote-unquote sacrifice a chicken to Moloch reference comes from a 2009 email in WikiLeaks Clinton archive. ID 14333 from a diplomat joking about luck. And, oh wow, man, blast from the past. WikiLeaks. Clinton emails. It's unrelated to Epstein files. For Prince Andrew ritual sacrifice claims, searches of Epstein documents show no such email. Allegations appear in unverified online posts, not official records. There you go. So I'm going to skip right past that. Trying to navigate my way through all this, man. There's tons and tons and tons of posts about Epstein. A lot of people claiming that there's a lot of stuff in the Epstein files because it's extremely easy to believe it. because they released over 3 million pages of Epstein files. So you can essentially just type up something that's not even real. You can make up something out of nothing and make it in the same format as this. It's extremely easy to fake an email, as you can imagine. You can simply even open up like WordPad and just type up a fake email exchange. And everybody, as of today, unless you verify by corroborating it with the actual Epstein files release on justice.gov, you're really not going to know. You're just going to assume that it's going to be true. All right, so moving on. Channel 4 News. Photos included in the latest Epstein files released by the U.S. Department of Justice appear to show Andrew Mountbatten Windsor on his hands and knees over a female lying on the floor. Oh my God. So let's have a look at that. Yeah, that's creepy as hell. Obviously a victim because they redacted the face of this individual. It'd sure be nice if it tells us exactly which image it is. It's only saying the source is Reuters. These images are likely to add pressure, scrutiny. See, that's a big pet peeve of mine. A lot of people who are on the X platform, they want verification. They want proof. That's a very common thing to ask for. And for people to be sharing these emails, look, if you got this email from the Epstein files, you've got the name of the document right in front of you, the document ID number. Just simply type it in your message, dude. I don't know why that's so freaking hard to do. Anyway, like I said, it's not an email. It was a video, so I didn't bother asking. This person made a decent point. Without context, this means nothing. It could have been a first aid course for all we know. Yeah, I mean, probably wasn't, but I get where he's going with that. So what, might there be something else for which UK media is keen to use Andrew as a human shield, so on and so forth? Anyway, I can't get into the comments. All right, so diligent denizen, Howard Lutnick caught lying about his association with Epstein. Epstein files show a 2012 email of Lutnick arranging to visit Little St. James with his and his associates' families, including a number of small children. This email was after Epstein had been convicted of soliciting a minor in Florida. Trump's Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said in an interview last year he only talked to Epstein once and decided that he was gross, so he would never be in the same room with Epstein. All these people should be investigated. Now, fortunately for this one, I do remember asking it to verify. So, yep, here we go right here. Provide a document ID, direct link. The 2012 email from Howard Lutnick to Jeffrey Epstein arranging a visit to Little St. James is in the DOJ Epstein files. Uh-oh, Howard Lutnick, you got some explaining to do. Data set number 9, document EFTA 00399-317. Let's take a look at it. Has been confirmed, so I will give that a read. Confirmed via reports from The Guardian, New York Post. Yeah, whatever. You know, it's hard to believe a lot of the mainstream outlets, whether they've confirmed anything. A lot of them like to hide behind anonymous sources. Okay, so this is from Howard Lutnick, and the subject Sunday, date Thursday, the 20th of December. And let's see if we can zoom in a little bit so I can get it better on screen. Okay, that's a little too much. And it reads as follows. Hi, Jeff. We are landing in St. Thomas early Saturday afternoon and planning to head over to St. Bart's/Antigua on Monday at some point. Where are you located? What is exact location for my captain? Does Sunday evening for dinner sound good? I have another couple, Michael and Marcy Learman, with me on my boat. And each of us has 4 children. Uh-oh. Oh, this looks bad, Howard Lutnick. Uh-oh. This does not look good. Going to meet... look, dude, why did they redact it, though, man? If it's to Jeffrey Epstein, they wouldn't have redacted it. So this isn't to Jeffrey Epstein, though. So, and it doesn't mention Little St. James Island either. So just reading it without any other context other than just this, doesn't sound like it's related to Epstein at all. I mean, the Caribbean's a pretty big place. I can't really say that it has anything at all to do with them. I guess we can at least watch the clip, see what
And
they
in
shared.
the 6 or 8 steps it takes to get from his house to my house, my wife and I decided that I will never be in the room with that disgusting person.
Now, wait a minute. So the file that we just looked at was, this part of it was redacted. 2 16s, 2 14s, 13, 12, 11, and 7-year-old. That wasn't in the Epstein files. So it did they just throw that in there, not thinking anybody would have actually looked to verify?
Ever again. So I was never in the room with him socially, for business, or even philanthropy. If that guy was there, I wasn't going because he's gross. And so I look back at it as a gift.
Okay. Massive grain of salt on my end. Look, you can believe whatever you want to believe. I don't see Epstein's name in here anywhere. I don't see Little St. James Island. I don't see Epstein's Island. I don't see any of that in the email. So let's move on to the next one. Let's go to Bad Hombre. In an August 14th, 2014 email, Stacey Plaskett reached out to Jeffrey Epstein's island manager to arrange transportation to Little St. James for August 18th, 2014. Plaskett had previously testified under oath that she only visited with Epstein at his Manhattan home and her office. Well, that still looks bad. And let's have a look. Let's see what Grok says. After searching multiple sources, the email is from court documents in the U.S. Virgin Islands versus J.P. Morgan Chase, case 1:22 CV 10904 JSR SDNY. It's likely an exhibit in filings like document 186 or 158-10, Plaskett's deposition, but I couldn't locate the exact ID or direct link. And you can check Court Listener for full files. That's just going to take me to the homepage. That's not going to take me anywhere. Yeah, I didn't think it would, but I mean, it's nice. It's good to know that resource is at least there. So anyway, I'll read the email though. I mean, Grok gives just enough information to make it seem like that it probably is legit in some way or another, just not in the Epstein files release. Now, did the Post actually say? No, see, they didn't say that this was in the Epstein files anyway. So to Stacey Plaskett from, or CC, Erica Kellerhalls, not familiar, and also Ann Rodriguez. They were CC'd in this email. And the email is from Leslie Groff, Groff. So down here at the very bottom, let's see, where's the first one? So here on August 12th, 2014 at 1:57 p.m., Stacey Plaskett wrote, "Let me know what is convenient for Jeffrey late morning Monday. Thanks, Stacey. Stacey Plaskett, Esquire." And the follow-up email, August 14th, 9:48 a.m. "Hello, Stacey. Just circling back. When will you be able to meet with Jeffrey on his island on Monday, August 18th at 11 a.m.? Erica, if Stacey is available for this, will you be going as well? Wasn't sure." And the reply, oh, by the way, the message I just now read, they blacked out who it's from. So the follow-up, August 14th at 10:03 a.m., Stacey Plaskett wrote, "Sorry, I thought I responded. Yes, I will be available. Please share details on time and transportation to Jeffrey." And then the final email to Stacey from Erica Kellerhalls, or no, I'm sorry, that was the CC. To Stacey Plaskett from Leslie Groff on Thursday, August 14th at 2:47 p.m. "Tremendous. I will have Anna, who manages Jeffrey's Island, get in touch with you. Thanks." Anna's cell phone and Anna's email. So it sounds like she certainly made plans to meet with Jeffrey Epstein at his island. And of course, that's Stacey Plaskett. And we will roll on to the next. Get back to where we were. Here we go. From Alex Jones. Grok says this photo of the young future New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani with Jeffrey Epstein, Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, and others is real. I am about to break huge news on this topic in the next few hours. Now, I will say, okay, good, because I found another post that Alex Jones didn't post, but I came across this image that was shared somewhere else, and it was community noted, and I thought I had grabbed it, but yeah, so this got a community notes. Readers added context they thought people might want to know. This image contains a synthid watermark indicating it was undeniably created with Google Nano Banana Image Generation. The specific tool call run can be seen here. Well, let's have a look. Gemini.google.com. All right. Does this image have synth-ed? Use the tool only. So they're basically saying that this was created by AI, and that's what the other community note that I read on a different post also said. Now, the community note on the other post said that it was definitively created by AI, and this image is not, in fact, a real image. This image is fake. So I will assume that it's not 100% true, even though it's Alex Jones. I believe a lot of things that Alex says, but not everything. I don't believe everything he says, but he does tend to be right like 90% of the time, though. All right, so he gets into the Pizzagate scandal with his post, and I think I have another post regarding Pizzagate after this one. So, head count for pizza released on 2013, November 15th at midnight. The email ID, the date. Okay, so the date of the message was way back in 2007, August the 2nd, from Burton at stratfor.com. And it's to Stratfor, Austin, and Blackburn, and Chris. Trails off, Doe something, and all three of those are stratfor.com. And the message, replying, head count for pizza. Are you sure this might not be a Jim Jones Kool-Aid event? TKL, please eat my slice. Okay. Well, in the original message from Robin Blackburn, sent Thursday, August 2nd, 2007 to Chris Douglas. And the subject is head count for pizza. Does the pizza offer include those of us who can't make the meeting because we're out here editing? Because if so, count me in. This email is color-coded in black and white and will combust in 30 seconds. Yeah, okay. Chris Douglas wrote, head count, who all is in the Austin office today and who is going to want pizza? We only have one slice and we need to know how thinly to slice it. Simply send a single response file, color-coded, double-sided, and appropriately labeled, signed in triplicate, and set on fire. All right. Now, Alex Jones, he shared some other images, very graphic. Definitely cannot share on YouTube, but if you want to get into some more of what Alex Jones was posting about with regard to Jeffrey Epstein, you, of course, go visit his profile at Real Alex Jones over on the X platform. And this one from Shadow of Ezra. Newly released Epstein files show that Democrat delegate Stacey Plaskett traveled to Epstein's Pedo Island in August 2014. I think we already went through this, though, didn't we? Pretty sure we already went through that with this one. Let me just double check. Circling back. Okay, so I'm going to move on past this one because we already got through that one. Bad hombre. Jeffrey Epstein was the point person for arranging meetings between Democrat congressional candidates and Chuck Schumer up until at least 2018. Care to explain, Senator Schumer? Uh-oh. So from Erica Kellerhalls, which I believe that we've come across her name before, to Jeffrey Epstein. Subject, Schumer. We have to help Stacey get a meeting with Schumer. Any thoughts? Erica Kellerhalls, member, Kellerhalls, Ferguson, Croblin, PLLC, and it gives a U.S. Virgin Islands address. And let's see if it is verified or not. After searching the Epstein documents, calendars, related reports, I couldn't find evidence of him arranging meetings between Democrat candidates and Chuck Schumer in 2018. Donations from Epstein to Schumer occurred in the 1990s, a total of $22,000 per campaign records. No primary source confirms the meeting claim. If you have a specific file reference, I'll check it. So it was unable to find that email in the Epstein files. So we shall move on. Looks like Schumer might be relatively clean as far as that one goes. But we do have this one. Chuck Schumer is in the files having dinner with Epstein. What say ye, Chuck Schumer? Let's have another look and see if the document was discovered or not. Let's see. Couldn't find this specific email. Note, it shows Jess Staley mentioning dinner with Schumer to Epstein, not Epstein himself attending. For official files, see justice.gov or court listener. If you have some details, I can dig deeper. All right. So the email, it's a bit lengthy. I suppose I could just read the highlighted portion, even though it was not found in the Epstein files, so I really shouldn't even read this. It says this email is intended only for the person or entity to which it is addressed and may contain confidential or privileged material. Any review, retransmission. I mean, what is this? This is just... That doesn't really have anything to do with anything. All right, whatever. That's just a generic, like, a fax cover sheet message. All right. Heading on to the next. Let's go to Joni Ascola. The media is still missing the biggest story in the Epstein files. The emails show Epstein helped Russia blackmail Donald Trump. He was advising Putin's circle on how to control the U.S. president. Trump is compromised. We need to make sure everyone sees this. Let's have a look. Let's see if it's in there. The email in question is dated June 24, 2018, from Epstein to Thorbjorn Jagland, mentioning insights on Trump for Russian officials. It's part of 23,000 documents released by the House Oversight Committee in November 2025. No specific document ID is publicly detailed, but see the committee's site for releases. Note, authenticity is disputed. White House calls it a smear, while some outlets report it as evidence of ties. So there's no document ID. There's no definitive proof at all that it came from the Epstein files, but claims are that it was released by the Oversight Committee. And this is just their homepage, so it doesn't even give me a direct link to that. So it's short enough to at least have a quick look at it. From Jeffrey Epstein to Thorbjorn Jagland. So June 24th, 2018, from Jeffrey Epstein. I think you might suggest to Putin that Lavrov can get insight on talking to me. Vitaly Churkin used to, but he died. Question mark, exclamation point. And then the follow-up email, June 24th, 2018, 1:59 p.m. From Jeffrey. Churkin was great. He understood Trump after our conversations. It is not complex. He must be seen to get something. It's that simple. So, I mean, that's kind of vague. Even if it wasn't in the documents, it's relatively vague. And we've got this from Vinicius Betiol. Donald Trump served as a judge in a teenage model contest in 1991. The contest featured 14-year-old girls. Recently, the newspaper The Guardian discovered that the contest was a front so that multimillionaires could have S with the girls. Okay, that's not related to Epstein, I don't think. So, let's see. He says Steve Bannon, Trump, and the entire Epstein list will try to defend the right in this year's elections. We'll have a great battle against these peeves. Anyone who's closed off against the far right. Let's go together in this battle. Okay, well, it sounds a little biased. The streets of the U.S. Okay, so yeah, they're talking about the protests and all that. Okay, well, if you really want to watch it, I'll repost it. I don't see how this directly relates to Epstein. I'm trying to stick with Epstein specifically, but somehow it found its way on the list. All right. Brian Allen, massive. A witness swore under penalty of perjury that Donald Trump threatened a young girl, warning she could disappear like another 12-year-old, and said he could have her entire family killed, per Epstein-related court records. This is sworn testimony, not a rumor. Lying here equals years in federal prison. So why is the DOJ scrubbing files instead of answering this? Well, you remember the Brett Kavanaugh hearing? Remember what's her name? Christine Blasey Ford or whatever? Remember when she gave hours and hours of testimony and all of it proved to be just completely fake, false, not even real in any way, shape, or form. It was all a bunch of made-up bullshit. Well, she didn't really have any consequences after that, now did she? Maybe she might have been smeared by the public, rightfully so. She may have been chastised by the public, but I don't think she went to jail. I don't think she went to prison for all of that. But on the other hand, I'm not saying this didn't happen. I'm not saying this person is 100% not telling the truth. I wasn't there. I wasn't in the room. I wasn't at this event, wherever this took place. However, I will see if it is in the Epstein documents. It looks like it might be. So let's have a look. Oh, no, a little too far. The sworn affidavit matching this description is from a 2016 lawsuit, case number, document 1 through 2, filed June 20, 2016. The threat is in paragraph 14 on page 2. And here is the direct link. Okay, so recent Epstein FBI files. It does have the document name, EFTA 00020517, mentions similar unverified tips, but access is restricted. The 2016 case was dropped. So if it was, so she's sworn, or it was sworn testimony, how could it possibly be fake? Years in prison and so on. Well, they dropped the case. I mean, if it was something that was legitimate, I mean, why did they drop the case if that's really the way it is, or the way it turned out? So anyway, it says, I personally witnessed defendant Trump telling the plaintiff that she shouldn't ever say anything if she didn't want to disappear like the 12-year-old female, blank redacted, and that he was capable of having her whole family killed. And then, of course, they said, I declare under penalty of perjury that the foregoing is true and correct. and then it was signed. So I don't know how massive that really is. If if that were really true, really the case, why wasn't it pursued further? I don't know. But anyway, that's what's going around today. I got 14,000 likes. There were other posts I got way more than that, but still, it's not a small number. 1.2 million views, man. That's a lot of views. Ruben Gallego. This is the guy who directed the Melania movie. 163,000, 5.1 million views. So this guy is apparently the Melania movie director. Is that really true? I don't know. I don't know if that's actually definitively true or not. I actually decided to ask Grok, is this true? Yes, the claim is true. Brett Ratner directed the 2026 documentary Melania, which chronicles Melania Trump's life as First Lady. The photo from recently released Epstein files shows Ratner on the right on a couch with Jeffrey Epstein and an unidentified woman, face redacted. No evidence of wrongdoing by Ratner in the files. Well, they redacted the female's face, so I think most people are going to assume that she's a minor. I mean, he's not breaking the law by posing in this image necessarily, but it certainly looks highly suspicious, to say the very least. And by the way, Ruben Gallego, he's got a gray badge. Senator from Arizona. Was he the Democrat? Yeah, he's the Democrat. Democrat senator from Arizona. Anyway, we'll move on. And from Lord Bebo, Epstein had a contract with the Rothschild Group. Rothschild Group. I have trouble saying that. For $25 million. What was his job for the Rothschilds? And, oh yeah, that's right. Let me take a look. After checking available sources, the 2015 letter of agreement between Epstein's Southern Trust Company and the Rothschild Group is referenced in Wall Street Journal reports from 2023 based on Epstein's private records. I couldn't find a specific document ID or direct link in the public Epstein court files. It may not be part of the unsealed documents. It also says that there is no direct link in the public Epstein court files either, whether if it's from the Maxwell trial or the US VI versus JP Morgan hearing. So, not corroborated. So, in other words, there's really no way to tell where this came from. So, I suppose I will move on, but I will repost that if you want to take a look at that yourself. And from Midas Touch, here's Epstein after being told he has permission to kill an unidentified man. Whoops. Epstein after being told Mary Kennedy was found dead in her backyard. Whoops. The autopsy showed that Mary Kennedy, then going through a messy divorce with estranged husband, RFK Jr., had her fingers between her neck and the noose as if she was having second thoughts. A former NYC medical examiner said, "I've investigated many suicides by hanging, and I've never seen that." Okay. That is, that's kind of a bombshell. After searching public Epstein court documents related repositories, I could not locate a specific document ID or direct link for the Whoops email about Mary Kennedy or the permission to kill reference. These may stem from unverified sources or newer releases not yet available online. If you have more details, I can dig deeper. So this is not in the Epstein files, at least according to Grok. And Grok is pretty good about digging up anything in the Epstein files, which, by the way, I suppose I probably could have showed this earlier. This is going to be at justice.gov/Epstein. This is where all of the Epstein files are located. Epstein library. You can search the full library here. So all the court records are going to be here. The DOJ disclosures, including disclosures under the Epstein Files Transparency Act, are going to be there. I'm assuming that's where the bulk of everything's going to be. Freedom of Information Act, House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform disclosures. So that's where everything is. The DOJ disclosures, and let's take a look. So the Epstein Files Transparency Act, the 3 million files or pages are most likely going to be in here. Data set 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, so on, 9, 10, 11, 12. And so just click on any random one. So view files. These are all going to be all the files from data set number 11, 2 pages worth. Now, AI bots such as Grok or ChatGPT, or I'm assuming even Google AI, as terrible as that one is, it has the ability to go through any website on the internet. As long as the information's there, it can comb through anything. So it shouldn't be very difficult for an AI bot like Grok to be able to check those key words that it would check for. It's going to take all the text from these emails and then compare it to all of the publicly available information on justice.gov/Epstein to determine if that email is indeed in there. And it came to the conclusion that it's not. So we'll go ahead and move past that. Midas Touch, pretty biased toward the left, if I'm not mistaken. So it's not exactly a shocker that there might be some misinformation being placed out there from certain actors. Rolling on to Brian Allen. This is a serious DOJ failure. This is an FBI 302 of Epstein survivor Danielle Hannah Bensky, released with her full name unredacted. Survivors' identities are legally protected. Publishing this is not transparency. It's reckless endangerment and a clear breach of DOJ protocol. They're redacting entire pages about powerful men, but exposing survivors. That tells you everything. And FBI Director Kash Patel, I believe also Attorney General Pamela Bondi, they both came out, gave a statement informing the public that all the documents are out, they're all available. Now that I think about it, maybe Kash Patel didn't actually give a statement with regard to the latest release of the Epstein files. But the DOJ did officially come out, made a statement saying that all the files are available. You can go view them all. We had a very short amount of time, relatively speaking, to have to manually go through these 3 million pages and have to manually redact every single name. So there is a chance that there might be a couple of names that we may have missed. And if you come across any names that appear that should have been redacted, please contact the Department of Justice immediately. You can also contact the FBI and also inform them, and they will look into it, reference the document number, and they will quickly fix it. And they're just saying that because because the millions of pages they had to go through, their deadline was December 19th, which they completely obliterated. These just came out, well over a month after they were required by law to release all of these documents. So needless to say, they were kind of in a hurry. So they did come out and give instructions if you did happen to come across something like this to let them know and they'll fix it. And this document's from the FBI back on 2008. And the name, I won't say it verbally, but it's there. Apparently that's one of the victims. Not so sure if that's actually true or not. Matter of fact, I don't even know if I even asked Grok if this was verifiable. No, I don't think I did. I just said report this to the FBI and DOJ. They've already instructed people to do exactly that. So anyway, currently employed, so on. I mean, this is way back in 2008. So, but yeah, it's just talking about just basic details on an individual. It doesn't look like it's, I'm sure it's related to Epstein. It's just not talking about Epstein specifically. Elon Musk, January 31st. What matters is not the release of some subset of the Epstein files, but rather the prosecution of those who committed heinous crimes with Epstein. When there is at least one arrest, some justice will have been done. If not, this is all performative, nothing but a distraction. And he's replying to SMX. Elon Musk has consistently been the loudest public voice demanding the release of the Epstein files and accountability for all involved. Not a single Epstein client has been prosecuted, not even one, said Elon Musk. All right, so Anna Paulina Luna. What was released by the DOJ regarding Epstein is deeply disturbing. This is why good people must actively engage in and be involved in politics and government. As you are seeing, politics is a dirty game and tends to attract the worst types of people. If you throw up your hands and give up, you are the problem. Review all the documents, get your head in the game, stand up and do the right thing. Otherwise, this rot continues. Only light can drive out darkness. Quite well said. From Adam, FBI Director Kash Patel under oath, quote, there is no credible information that Jeffrey Epstein trafficked minors. 40 minors gave sworn testimonies that they had been trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein. This is treason. Well, was it Jeffrey Epstein personally who trafficked them? Or was it somebody who was trafficking them on Jeffrey Epstein's behalf? Because that's the fine line that you got to walk, especially when you give things like testimony. Was it Jeffrey Epstein personally? Did he personally take physical possession of them and traffic them one by one? Nobody else, not his representative, not his lackeys, not Ghislaine Maxwell. No, Jeffrey Epstein himself. And that's probably the answer that somebody like FBI Director Kash Patel would probably say if he were pressed.
None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals. And the information we have, again, is limited.
So the answer is no one?
For the information that we have.
In the files?
I'm going to play this one more time.
Okay.
Is no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals. And the information we have, again, is limited.
So the answer is no one?
For the information that we have.
In the files?
In the case file.
Okay.
Okay, well, that's hardly treason. I mean, that's for all we know, that is all the information that he had at the time. I mean, you can only give what information you have, what information you know, and what, according to Director Patel, that's all that they had at the time. So, was he lying? Look, I don't know. Maybe he was. Maybe he knew damn well that Epstein was personally, grabbing minors and physically trafficking them himself. Not so sure. I somehow doubt that to be the case. FBI Director Kash Patel probably isn't committing treason. I think that's a little over the top, but we do have this, though. Being libertarian, Kash Patel and Dan Bongino said Epstein wasn't trafficking children. That's weird. This email says he was doing it at 901, so on. They give an address. That's pretty specific. Are they bad at their jobs, or did they get, quote-unquote, the talk from the deep state? Oh, wow, look at that. Grok didn't even reply to me for this one. Can you provide the document ID? Okay, well, that's highly suspicious to me. That's really weird, Grok. Why wouldn't you respond to that? That's very strange. So I guess I'm going to have to read it then. All right, so let's see. What do we got? Date submitted, 8/31 of 2022. Okay, so, and this is 8/31 at 1400. That's at 10 a.m. Okay, so this is the first one. Date submitted, 8/31, 2022. Violation, human trafficking, emergency, false, threat to life, false, submitted text. Jeffrey Epstein was bringing children to the Omni to human traffic them out to rich business people. If you go to address mentioned in the South State Bank on the top floor, there is a housekeeping door, I think inside the men's restroom once you enter on the right. Inside this should be a crawl space in the ceiling, a water faucet, and a wall on the right. The wall on the right behind the actual wall contains a passageway with an inscription about Gabe, who's a human trafficking victim that Jeffrey Epstein kept. I do not know what is behind the wall, but I remember as kids we were both brought to this area and trafficked in and out of the premises along with other kids. Violation questions. Please provide details about the specific location where the victim's being held. No specific location. How do you know the victim? Unknown. In the past. Who has control of the victim's identification of travel documents? Victim. And the follow-up to that, let's see, from redacted to redacted, but it does mention FBI. CCNTOC_SSA. The subject is case MM-108062. And the date is September 1st of 2022. And they provided a PNG image attachment to the email. And it says, Special Agent blank, I am a threat intake examiner at the FBI National Threat Operations Center, NTOC, unit, where we receive information from the public regarding criminal activity and threats to national security. Following information is being forwarded to your situational awareness and any action deemed appropriate. On 8/31/2022 at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, anonymous complainant internet protocol address, and it gives a really long address, which resolves to Madison, Alabama 35756, submitted an online tip to the FBI National Threat Operations Center via tips.fbi.gov regarding new information pertaining to Jeffrey Epstein in Madison, Alabama. And that's all it says. And as the email states, Jeffrey Epstein was bringing children to the Omni, so it does mention him specifically. Sure would have been nice if Grok had replied to that, so I'll just have to assume that that was in the Epstein files, I guess. And it wasn't community noted either, to point that out. And Jack Posobiec, in 2005, Jeffrey Epstein was under an 11-month FBI investigation. 40 underage girls alleged Epstein assaulted them. After Epstein gave information to the FBI, federal charges were dropped. Who was the head of the FBI then? Oh, Robert Mueller. How interesting is that? And from Jack Straw, close them up. Disney brought children to the island. Uh-oh. Let's see if we got any verification of that. After checking the Epstein files from I can't even pronounce that name. Giffrey versus Maxwell case on court listener and various sources. No document mentions Disney bringing children to the island. Claims about Disney cruises stopping there lack evidence in official records for primary docs. Go to courtlistener.com. So I guess only to read the highlighted portions. Afterward, make your way to your second snorkel stop, Little St. James Island, where curious fish dart back and forth in the clear blue water and so on. And it's referencing a snorkeling expedition on Disney Cruise Line, which does not appear to be in the Epstein files dump. So I will move on. I think I'm getting close to the end, though, as far as the Epstein stuff goes. DC Drano, this name should not be redacted in the Epstein files. This person should be exposed and investigated. And who were they talking about? So DC Drano, let's see. I'm assuming this probably was in the file. And it was. The email appears in dataset 8 of the DOJ's Epstein files released under the Epstein Files Transparency Act, repository at, and here is the link. I am. Oh, come on, man. It didn't share the exact link. So for download specific document ID, EFTA. So I can actually copy and paste that. So let's see if that'll work. Search for the phrase within PDFs to confirm exact file. Let's see. So it's just going to take me to that page. Let me see if it'll bring it up here. I don't know if it'll bring it up here specifically. No, so no worries. Hold on. So I know there's a search box. Let's see, where was it? Here it is. Let's see if it comes up here. It should. There it is. Dataset 8. I'll watch it be like 1,000 pages. It is a freaking 1,000 pages. Of course it is. Okay. All right, so this is what we're going to do. Let's go back and see. I give you permission to kill him. He is apparently with blank. He lied to you and he lied to me. Sent from my iPhone. And that's to Jeffrey Epstein from Redacted in 2014. So let's try the word permission. Let's see if the word permission comes up. So I'm going to search. Try to find that. Oh, looks like it comes up. Oh, wait, hold on. Looks like it did come up once. Yeah, here we go. To the extent appropriate or permissible under law. Okay, so that's definitely not going to be it. Huh. Well, I don't know. I can't find it. This has to do with an FAA, U.S. Department of Transportation document. And I don't think there's really any emails in here, though. It just looks like just legal documentation. Let's move down toward the bottom. Maybe there's some emails down here. No. Well, Grok verified that it's in here somewhere. Not sure where it's going to be. Of course, I don't have enough time to dig through 1,060 pages. But this is that data set 8 that it referenced. So anyway, regardless, this will be linked if you want to have a look at that. It'll be linked below if you want to take a look. So anyway, that was by DC Drano. And yeah, probably should have that name released. I give you permission to, or from Jeffrey Epstein, or from so-and-so to Jeffrey Epstein. I give you permission to kill him. He is apparently with blank. He lied to you and he lied to me. I mean, that's quite damning. We definitely should know who the hell that is. And let's rock and roll to the next. From Mike Benz. Epstein using CIA airplanes in the 1980s, using CIA airplanes in the 1990s, using CIA airplanes in 2017. Okay. Let's take a look. This email appears in DOJ Epstein files, document number from dataset 8. Looks like the same, probably similar, if not the same dataset. The direct link right here. There it is. And we'll take a look at this. From redacted USANYS to redacted NY and FBI. And the subject says, I got this really strange phone call. That's quite interesting. The guy's name is blank, number is blank, mother's name is blank. So he tells me he and his mother have been kidnapped several times and brought across state lines because he is the son of a hitman/drug dealer. He did not know that Jeffrey Epstein was one of the men in the group that ordered the kidnapping of him and his mother until he saw the picture in the paper. He was tortured by this group, and he recognized the face in the paper as one of the people that ordered the kidnapping and watched with his very affluent group, torture him and his mother, and kill his attorney. He has reported the kidnapping several times to SA Redacted in Orange County, California. So I'm sorry I have to send you the phone calls I get. Victim Witness Coordinator, U.S. Attorney's Office, Southern District of New York. Wow. That is crazy. So doesn't have anything to do with this email, though. I mean, I don't know why Grok shared that one, because that doesn't have anything to do with the CIA planes. All right. But anyway, this is the email that was shared from Larry, sent on Friday, April 14th, 2017 to Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey, not sure if the BBJ serial number would give us issue flying in the Middle East. Past history of owners of Josh's BBJ was the CIA in 2007. I think a previous N number indicates N313P was used as a CIA plane to transport prisoners to Guantanamo Bay. It was called a torture plane. See this link, and it actually gives a link. Not going to go visit that right now, but you're welcome to go see it for yourself if you really want to. Just based on boing, that ain't happening. I'm definitely not going to click on that. So no way, no how. All right, so December 21st, 2025, this was his initial post. SAT was a CIA airline used to ship guns. In 1991, the CIA-backed Somali government fell to a civil war. 1993, Bush tried to tilt the civil war with Operation Restore Hope using Rickenbacker Air Base in Columbus, Ohio. 1994, SAT moved to Rickenbacker to serve Jeffrey Epstein's company. Yikes. Let's have a look at this.
Jeffrey Epstein negotiated the fucking contract to move the CIA's proprietary airliner, Southern Air Transport, which was busted running drugs and guns during Iran-Contra. He personally was the authorized signatory on the deal with Southern Air Transport to move it to a military base in Columbus, Ohio to service the limited. Hey, any of you guys got any bright ideas about how you would go about in 1994 convincing the Central Intelligence Agency to move its proprietary CIA airline used for covert operations based in Miami to fucking up and move its entire operation to fucking Columbus, Ohio, just to service your personal company?
Yikes.
Instead of the CIA? What do you think, he cold called the CIA? You think he just schmoozed the CIA? Or is it because he was handling out on Khashoggi's money during Iran-Contra that purchased the guns that Southern Air Transport a decade earlier was moving?
Good grief, man.
Jeffrey-
I'm telling you what, man, this Jeffrey Epstein not even a single conspiracy, just the whole rabbit hole that is Jeffrey Epstein probably has no limit. Who knows? Maybe this is completely valid. I mean, it might be. That's absolutely wild. I don't know. This is my first time hearing about it. Other than I did hear somewhere, wasn't Jeffrey Epstein, like, it hasn't been confirmed by the CIA, but I definitely heard somewhere that it's widely believed that he was a CIA asset. Not just Jeffrey Epstein, but a bunch of other, what seems like surprising people tend to be linked up with the CIA. It's kind of crazy. Okay, rolling on. Is this true? That's from Ted Pillows, 9 hours ago. Oh yeah, I remember this. This is freaking wild. I don't know if this is true or not. Date October 31st, 2008. Unsealed case number 19CR00490. Project Bitcoin funding and white paper. 2. Project Bitcoin funding and white paper from J. Epstein. And this is at jepstein@financial.net. So it's not his JEE Vacations Gmail. This is jepstein@financial.net. And it's to G. Maxwell. And that's gmaxwell@terramar.org. Hi, Bean, B-I-N-E. Ghislaine, the Satoshi pseudonym is working perfectly. Our little digital gold mine is ready for the world. Funding secured, Jeffrey. Do you think there's any validity to this? Did Jeffrey Epstein really have a hand in freaking Bitcoin? I don't know about all that. It does have community notes, though. A search of the released Epstein files does not bring up anything with the phrase "our little digital gold mine" or the address jepstein@financial.net. Yeah, I figured it probably wouldn't. The email in the image also has two lines indicating it is fake. And I did ask Grok regardless, just to see if it would return anything, and probably didn't. No such email exists. It appears to be a fabrication or a meme, as no mentions of Bitcoin, Satoshi, or Gregory Maxwell funding appear in verified files. So if you come across any rumors or any posts or anybody talking about how Jeffrey Epstein had a hand in the creation of Bitcoin, it appears as though it's fake. It's not real. It's fake, at least according to Grok and the community notes. All right. Heading to another one from Mike Benz. This one is really long. It's a thread and it goes on and on. I figured I would at least show it though. So I'm going to repost it right away. Again, there's a direct link to my profile in the description below. You don't have to be signed into the X platform to read all of this. So you can just click on that link to my profile and it'll be right there. Or you can go to Mike Benz Cyber, and that's Benz with a Z. And let's get the timestamp. So he initially posted this on February 1st at 12:41 a.m. And there is a lot. So he shares this document. He's got those, these. I mean, it goes on and on. He shares a lot of crazy stuff. And then he follows up with individual posts to elaborate further on it. I mean, he's got this video where he goes through it in detail, 35 minutes in length. And then he's got some more of these messages. I mean, he really digs into the weeds on this, man. So I'll read at least the initial one, and we'll see if we can get a little bit of context as to what he's talking about. So from the Central Intelligence Agency, but first I'll read the post. In 1999, Jeffrey Epstein anonymously FOIA'd the CIA to obtain all CIA records that might reflect an open or otherwise acknowledged agency affiliation between himself and the CIA. In 2011, he wrote again to see if the CIA had acknowledged any links with him in the 12 years since. And this is from, it's got the CIA's letterhead and Martin G. Weinberg, PC, attorney at law. And then it gives a reference number, a case number, I'm assuming, 2011. Dear Mr. Weinberg, on July 25th, 2011, the Office of the Information and Privacy Coordinator received your letter dated July 19th, 2011, providing additional information pertaining to your client, Jeffrey Epstein's Privacy Act request referenced above. Since you have provided the necessary information, we process Mr. Epstein's request in accordance with the Freedom of Information and the Privacy Act. We search for CIA-originated responsive records that might reflect an open or otherwise acknowledged agency affiliation existing from November 5th of 1999, the date of our previous acceptance letter, to July 25th of 2011, the date we accepted Mr. Epstein's current request. We were unable to locate any information or records with respect to responsive records that would reveal a classified connection to the CIA in accordance with Section 3.6a of Executive Order 13526, as amended. The CIA can neither confirm nor deny the existence or non-existence of records responsive to your request. The fact of the existence or non-existence of requested records is currently and properly classified, and intelligence sources and methods information that is protected from disclosure by Section 6 of the CIA Act of 1949, as amended, and Section 102A I-1 of the National Security Act of 1947 as amended. Therefore, you may consider this portion of the response a denial of your request pursuant to FOIA exceptions B1 and B3 and PA exemptions J1 and K1. I have enclosed an explanation of these exemptions for your reference and retention. Although our searches were thorough and diligent, and it is highly unlikely that repeating those searches would change the result, you nevertheless have a legal right to appeal the decisions above. As the CIA Information and Privacy Coordinator, I am the CIA official responsible for this determination. You have the right to appeal this response within 45 days of the date of this letter. You may address your appeal to the agency release panel in my care. Please explain the basis of your appeal. So apparently, like, this is the guy that's denying your request, and if you want to appeal this request, you appeal it to the guy that denied your request. I mean, that's kind of ridiculous. You think that it would be some other independent body or at least somewhere else in the CIA. I mean, look, even that would be, I don't know, kind of a conflict of interest, I guess. If you have to get a decision from the CIA and you want to appeal their decision, and it's the CIA who's going to appeal your decision, okay. Yeah, right. Anyway, Mike Benz, by using a lawyer to go through the Privacy Act, this ensured the public couldn't know Jeffrey Epstein was the requester of the CIA records about himself, and that all correspondence would remain between the CIA and Epstein's law firm. Then he shares emails and documentation. First, I must point out this is an exceptionally interesting file, in part because it is actionable. It discloses 2 CIA file reference numbers, Epstein's 1999 request for CIA records about himself and Epstein's later 2011 request. I've looked for hours for the underlying request letter Epstein's lawyer sent the CIA, which the CIA responds to. I can't find it anywhere. Maybe someone else can. Likewise, I don't even see a redacted copy of the P-1999 correspondence in the CIA reading room. Epstein's 1999 CIA FOIA correspondence never having been approved for release, even in a redacted form, is interesting, as it's been more than 25 years. I'm attaching screenshots of CIA FOIA correspondence in CIA reading room that were approved for release in between 1 and 9 years. CIA FOIA correspondence to outside lawyers about a FOIA request are not classified. Where personal identification is sensitive, the CIA reading room is replete with uploads that have the file reference number and the correspondence, but with the name of requester redacted. And of course, more documentation. Ordinarily, the CIA has to automatically declassify or deny after affirmative review records after 25 years. But CIA FOIA records are not subject to this because they are not classified. Rather, the CIA uploads based on frequency of request for a FOIA reference files upload. And number 8, in theory, anyone right now could just FOIA the CIA for all records and correspondence related to reference numbers, and then he gives the reference numbers here. In theory, the CIA would have to turn those Epstein files over immediately. We know the files exist. We know they're not classified. It's quite interesting. The reason Epstein's FOIA comms with CIA are important to get now is because it's hard from this new DOJ drop to deduce exactly what Epstein asked for, exactly what the CIA looked for, and exactly what parts of the request triggered the CIA to issue a GLOMAR for part of it. For the record, I don't want to send this FOIA request because I don't want to get killed. Oh my God. But you definitely should. Now let me break down for you why. First, it'd be huge to know what exact CIA records Epstein requested about himself in 1999 and what year he set the look-back date to. We know Epstein had a fake Saudi passport by 1982. I've long made the case Epstein was CIA adjacent by 1978 and 1979. And second, we can't currently tell exactly what records Epstein requested about himself in 2011 because the CIA response to him in 2011 shows they simply reran the same request Epstein sent in 1999 and updated their request search through 2011. Third, given Epstein's CIA adjacency by the late 1970s and throughout the 80s, it's quite possible Epstein originally FOIA'd the CIA for records about himself in the 80s, and his 1999 FOIA simply reran his earlier 1980s request. In that case, you'd get all that info. Fourth, the fact that CIA gave a partial response, quote, no open or acknowledged agency affiliation, end quote, and partial GLOMAR means the exact text of what Epstein requested could both, number one, finally confirm whether the CIA is hiding classified Epstein documents, and two, hint at what is classified. Number 16, one reading is Epstein repeatedly FOIA'd the CIA to keep checking if they'd publicly disclosed any links with him so he could decide what he could credibly tell his colleagues going forward and know what info might be easily discoverable by foreign counterintelligence organs. And number 17, importantly, Epstein was not a widely known figure at all in 1999. He only came into public awareness in 2001 and 2002 when the public became curious who was flying Bill Clinton around Africa. So Epstein checked if any CIA connections were public before he himself went public. Number 18, that puts the 2001 news report that Epstein once claimed to have worked for the CIA, though he now denies it, in a new light. It suggests Epstein may have bragged about his CIA role in the 90s, then saw it as a liability, then felt confident to deny it after his 1999 FOIA. Yep, seems about right. So number 19, but it gets better. The fact that CIA searched for any open or acknowledged agency affiliation does not mean that's what Jeffrey Epstein asked for. This paragraph only says the CIA has no open or acknowledged records on him. He could have asked a very different question. And 20, as it turns out, the CIA saying it has no records that would reveal any open or acknowledged agency affiliation, followed by a GLOMAR denying both the existence and non-existence of classified records, is a stock CIA reply when you FOIA the CIA for a CIA personnel file. Which leads to the big question. Did Jeffrey Epstein in 1999, years before he became a public figure, directly ask the CIA to see his own personnel file? As I stared at this part of the CIA's response to Epstein's lawyers, I asked myself, why would a billionaire's highly paid lawyer do something so stupid as to directly ask the CIA for classified info in a FOIA? Of course you can't. Everyone knows the CIA is not allowed. Remember, the CIA issued a denial of some request. What kind of $2,000 an hour hotshot law firm partner would be so clueless and so incompetent that he'd request classified documents from the CIA in a FOIA? And then it hit me. Epstein's lawyers didn't ask for classified records about Epstein. They asked for something else about Epstein, and whatever that was, it touched on something classified. Now, the question is, what brave soul will ask, or will FOIA the CIA for all records and correspondence pertaining to reference file numbers P-1999-02450 and also file number P-2011-00673. And that is all he left. What, that's it? I mean, dude, that was a hell of a string. A hell of a thread. A lot. And I'm just gonna go up here just to make sure I did repost it. I did repost it, as I said I did, and I showed that I did. So that is a hell of a fascinating, or what appears to be a fascinating read if you want to go and dig through that, from Mike Benz. And let's roll on to the next from Kim.com. This is from yesterday. Rothschild, miss our talks. Will you be free? Let's discuss Ukraine. Epstein, Ukraine upheaval should provide many opportunities, after the maiden coup in 2014. So let's give a quick check. I'm sure that probably is in the files. Just want to double check though. Actually, it doesn't appear that it is Kim.com. I searched available sources, but couldn't find a specific document ID or direct link to this email in the Epstein files. It appears in recent reports of a January 30th, 2026 release, but details are limited. If it's from a new tranche, it may not be fully indexed yet. Okay, so to be fair, maybe they are still in the process of finalizing the indexing process of these 3 million documents, because they did miss the due date to submit everything, which was, what was that, the 19th of December. They were supposed to dump every single page of the Epstein files into that website, and we're just now getting the rest of it, like, just a couple days ago. So indexing 3 million pages, I can imagine, might take a while, so I guess it is possible. So I will read the email. It is quite possible that this is in the Epstein files, and it just hasn't been indexed just yet. From A.D. Rothschild to Jeffrey Epstein at jeevacation@gmail. No subject, date Tuesday, March 18th, 2014. And the message reads, let's read the original one. March 18th, 2014 at 4:40 p.m. Jeffrey Epstein wrote, Ukraine upheaval should provide many opportunities. Many. So what, is he a war profiteer now? And the follow-up email says, hi, Jeff. Very long day sitting on bank board. Numbers are okay, but not satisfactory to me. And I'm putting them under pressure to be more innovative about asset management funds while restructuring. I'm in a dinner with a client. Fed up. I miss our talks and hope you are well. We'll be at home tomorrow night. Will you be free? And let's discuss Ukraine. I don't know why, man. Why are all these like high-level elitists, these people that are probably making millions, if not billions of dollars, why are they so terrible with punctuation? I mean, am I the only person out there that takes grammar seriously whenever I write up emails? I mean, I even take my grammar seriously when I send text messages. But maybe I'm just old school. I don't know. All right, so again, that was from Kim.com. And rolling on. Go on to the next one. Another one from Elon. Replying to Valentina. So let's get the original first, and then I'll read his message. Elon has made it very clear that he never set foot on Epstein's island, never boarded his plane, and never attended any of those events. Nothing in the released documents points to the contrary. He has always pressed for genuine justice, focusing on holding the people who actually committed crimes accountable through real prosecutions. It's disappointing to watch old, out-of-context messages get spun in a way that shifts attention away from those who deserve scrutiny. The facts are straightforward, and in time they will stand on their own. I trust the truth that will come through clearly. I wonder if she's referencing the email that I read on Friday that seemed a little damning toward Elon Musk, stating that he had emailed, either it was, I don't think it was to Epstein personally, but it was someone in Epstein's inner circle. It appeared that Elon Musk had emailed him mentioning that he was going to be in the Virgin Islands, the British Virgin Islands, on vacation around Christmas time, and he was looking to, I guess, invite himself to Epstein Island. And I checked it on Friday. I checked to see if it was in the files, and it said it was in the files. So, but anyway, Elon Musk replies to that message and says they need to release Epstein's videos with the victims' images blurred out. He recorded everything. That will eliminate all doubt. I am in none of them, but many prominent people, especially on the left, are. Game over. Isn't that part of the Epstein Transparency Act, or Epstein Files Transparency Act? All the videos, they're required by federal law to release all the videos. What do you mean they're not releasing the videos? Not only do they need to, they're required. The President of the United States, President Trump, signed off on that act. It was an act by Congress. They have to release all the videos. What do they mean they're not releasing all the videos? So maybe they will. I don't know. But that is a very good question, though. It's a fair question to ask. All right, another one from Alex Jones. Pizzagate is all over the Epstein files. In the confirmed as authentic emails below, Jeffrey Epstein talks about large numbers of adults sharing a piece of pizza and torturing it. Yikes. Okay. So let's see. May 28th, 2011. April 6, 2018. April 26, 2016. Well, that's interesting. It happened to be on the exact same day. Oh, no. Never mind. April 6th, April 26th. And March 9, 2013. So these are all unrelated to one another. Let's see. So let me start. I'll just start with the first one and work my way back. All right. So from Jeffrey Epstein to redacted. You have received a flip video. I watched them all. Please don't send anymore. And the original May 2nd, 2009 message says, if you are not too busy, click on a video below to watch it. It doesn't say who it's from. And then Jeffrey said, I already watched them all. Please don't send anymore. And then the follow-up, G-Max, which I believe is Ghislaine Maxwell, from her to Jeffrey Epstein. Sorry, I have no stomach for even the slightest aggro. I don't have the stomach for it or any drama, imaginary or real. I'm still fragile off the last one and scared of shadows. Okay, that's kind of a creepy response. This one, April 2018. Let's see attached. This is better than a Chinese cookie. Let's go for pizza and grape soda again. No one else can understand. Go now or no. And let's see, from April 26, 2016 at 1:26 p.m., Jeffrey Epstein wrote, she looks pregnant. On Tuesday, April 2nd, 2016, they wrote just an OMG emoji. And then up here at the top, Tuesday, April 26th at 3:55, to Jeffrey Epstein from redacted, the pizza monster. You mean radiating a soft glow with the look of bliss and excitement? Yeah, that's the pizza. Okay. And this one from Roy Hodges to Jeffrey Epstein, March 9th, 2013. I wanted to let you know the crew really appreciated the pizza today. Thank you for letting us do that. Do what? Eat pizza? Yeah. All right. Yeah, we all know what that really means. So head count for pizza. I think I already read this on another post somewhere. Yeah, I believe I did. Maybe that was the one that Alex Jones had posted earlier. So the highlighted portion, Chris Douglas wrote, head count, who all is in the Austin office area who is going to want pizza. We only have one slice and we need to know how thinly to slice it. Yeah, I definitely remember reading that earlier. Okay. So Alex Jones also, oh, no, can't do that one. No. That was the one I didn't want to click on. So like I said, you can look at this yourself. I'll repost it. Look, those weren't real images. They're paintings. They're works of art. So YouTube probably wouldn't have any problem with it, but I do. So I'm not going to go there. Like I said, Alex Jones, he's posted some pretty wild stuff pertaining to the latest Epstein files. But yeah, again, those images, they're not real images. They're the lady that's in one of those 4 images. She's a painter. She's like, I'm assuming some, hair on fire, leftist, progressive, fine artist who likes painting, very horrific looking paintings of let's say less than adults. Anyway, not X-rated. It shows like mutilations and very disgusting, creepy stuff. Like cannibalistic type shit. It's disgusting. All right, so anyway, let's move on to Sarah Fields. Pizza is mentioned 911 times in the files. Pizza, grape soda, and Chinese cookie are likely all code names for different races and skin tones of children. But we were all told that Pizzagate wasn't real. Remember that? This is better than Chinese cookie, so we already saw that one. I actually probably already read all these, but maybe not. Finally, is that what that says? Let me try to full screen it, see if we can get that. Or really, I think it says really loved it. Pizza party was great. We had a lot of fun. Stayed late. We all slept in yesterday morning. Your night was good? Question mark. That was to blank from blank. Not sure. The subject says spoof on chandelier. The video I sent you with the amazing little girl dance. Creepy. Monday, July 21st, 2014. Let's see. At the bottom, kids are hungry. From blank to blank, February 18th, 2014. And the subject is pizza time. The follow-up to that, Leslie Taylor wrote, yum, that looks good. The boys are really cute too. I just need blank by 4:10 p.m. He needs a quick shower, then going to doctor for his annual. Okay. The follow-up to that, you got it. 4:10 will be there. And the follow-up to that, thanks for taking the boys for pizza. Blank was sad he had to leave the fun. Hope have a great time skiing. Be safe. And the most recent one was thank you. We love to have blank with us. He is too cute. Have a great week. XOXO. And that's the last one from that. Again, from Sarah Fields. And this one, Into Thin Air. Okay, I think we're getting pretty close to the end. So this is Into Thin Air. Epstein before Epstein. Francis Sheldon ran a secret pedo island in Lake Michigan disguised as a boys' camp. Elites flew in to abuse kids, film corn, and worse. Sheldon fled in 1976. Epstein used the playbook. It's always been about the children. Island suspected as haven for S activity with boys. It even has a freaking landing strip on it too. And this is like way up in Lake Michigan, in the northern part of Lake Michigan. Just off the coast of, I don't even remember what they call that upper Michigan Peninsula, and then like the main part of Michigan. But anyway, it's nestled in between those two land masses of Michigan out in the middle of Lake Michigan. I've never even heard of this, but let's see, it's out of Traverse City, North Fox Island, the Lake Michigan hideaway owned by wealthy Ann Arbor investor Francis D. Sheldon. Many have been used for criminal conduct involving young boys, the police say. A warrant for Sheldon's arrest for criminal conduct was issued several weeks ago in connection with a homo incident in Port Huron involving a 14-year-old boy, said State Police Sergeant Joel Gorzin of St. Clair. And it goes on from there, but I guess we can look at it. Look, I haven't seen it yet. I think it might actually be a news segment, to be honest, but hopefully it doesn't get a little too crazy.
The case of the Oakland County child killer takes us on a road trip to North Fox Island in northern
Oh, he also
Michigan.
killed them?
Police were investigating a child
so he's a real piece of
ring
shit
on the island back in 1977. Now, just months after, 3 Oakland County children were killed, and just weeks before another, Timothy King, was abducted.
The pornography operation was run by a man with ties to Metro Detroit, and police were anxious to find out if he was involved in those serial killings. Kevin Dietz joins us now with more on that. Kevin.
Yeah, one theory in the Oakland County child killer case is that it was part of a group of wealthy pedophiles who were trafficking in child pornography and groomed underage kids who became victims. A massive investigation led to 2 people, Frank Sheldon of Grosse Pointe, who owned much of North Fox Island, and Jerry Richards, a teacher in Port Huron who recruited young boys to fly to the island on field trips.
Dude, that's wild that there's a freaking island out in the middle of Lake Michigan like that. I mean, obviously there's a number of them, but I never would have really, that never even dawned on me that there's islands out in the Great Lakes like that. That's crazy.
Francis Sheldon was born into wealth and prominence. His father was a real estate developer who built Rosedale Park and Grosse Pointe Farms, I believe.
his family was very wealthy.
Well, that would be cool.
And owned major properties
Visiting the island,
in the city
that
of
is.
Detroit. He had property
None of
on
this
North Fox
scumbaggery.
Island, and we accessed the information about him through the school teacher that was arrested by the Detective Sergeant St. Clair. He would fly friends and males that were interested in interacting to his property on North Fox Island.
Had a filming operation there and had, horrible, horrible things.
Frank Sheldon was introduced to us as Mr. Richards' uncle. This is my Uncle Frank. So, okay, well, this is Frank, and Frank owns the island and whatever, and we're, so.
I remember getting on the plane, I was so excited. Me and Mike, and there's two other kids. I think one was a grade above us, and one was a grade below us, if I remember correctly. And I remember landing, I remember getting our stuff, getting our cabin, and, within an hour, we were naked on the beach. That's just how it was. If you live on an island, this is how they do it, in islands. So. And there's cameras, a lot all over the place, really.
It's just because of the trust and innocence that children have, and for someone to steal that away from them, you're basically taking part of their life away, and it's not fair.
I was angry at the school, because how could you hire this man and bring him into our school? So a lot of mixed emotions. I'm not afraid to tell the story now. Even as a grown man, you got that little boy inside you that doesn't want to tell anybody. But that little boy died a long time ago.
Yikes, man.
Sheldon fled the country and was never prosecuted. Richard was prosecuted for child pornography and has since died. Investigators do not believe they are the Oakland County child killers, but they do believe the killer could be someone they victimized. You'll see how it all connects as our investigation continues.
Those interviews are so chilling.
Wow, man. Well, I'm intrigued. What else did they dig up?
So hard. This affected so many people for so many years.
Okay, well, it's not well. It would appear that it's connected. Well, not really connected, but related to Epstein, because perhaps Jeffrey Epstein got all of his idea from this piece of shit. All right. Anyway, we'll go ahead and move on to Donaldo Trumpo. Okay, this Epstein release is wild. Yeah, that is freaking wild. Really wild. Okay. I don't know if I asked for any details on this or not. I don't think that I did, but I'll double check and see. Oh my gosh, dude. What the hell? Look, is it a meme? Is it real? Is it not real? Probably real, maybe not real. I don't know. Like I said, man, grain of salt. Take it with a grain of salt. Okay, so from Jay, Epstein files released under Joe Biden, 0. Epstein files released under Donald Trump, over 3 million. Who was protecting pedos again? Yeah, it really kind of makes you wonder now, doesn't it? Spot the difference. The media never said a thing about this. Let's take a look at this.
Stand right next to me. There you go. And then we're going to have...
There you go.
Got it? Okay.
And the people in the back, you can spread out a little bit more.
Good grief, man. What a creep, dude.
Do you remember what I told you? No, not smile. No date till you're 30. Hey, Angel, how old are you? You're 12. What's your name? How are you? Stand right next.
Yikes, man. Freaking creep show. Yeah, President Trump is far more presidential and classy, and very much not a freaking creep like some of these Dems seem to be. All right, Graham Allen, these are the ugliest people in America. So we're going to move on past the Epstein stuff. We're going to move into the protests, the riots, all the mayhem that happened over the weekend, starting with Friday. And of course, January 31 was yesterday. On Saturday, ugliest people in America. Let's take a look at this. Now, what's so ironic about this is that many in this group of people, they complain about how the wages aren't moving, they're not getting paid enough, rent is so expensive. I don't know how I'm going to survive, so on and so forth. And it's almost a tragic comedy if they weren't so stupid. All right, let's see what else we got. The red-headed libertarian. Please don't let the irony of people fighting to keep foreigners for cheap labor parading the 3/5 compromise around their city be lost on you. Yeah, you can't make this shit up. Talk about being used as political pawns. Not sure if they're ever going to wake up and realize that. Doesn't seem like they will.
The Constitution is turning the corner right now. I don't know if you can see it, but it's full of signatures.
I don't know what the hell they're saying. Some anti-ICE, whatever, I imagine. Right Angle News Network. Breaking: leftist anti-ICE agitators marched through Minneapolis yesterday, smashing the driver's side windows of cars they encountered and leaving many construction and blue-collar workers with their vehicles destroyed.
They broke into everybody. All of these fucking windows. Every single fucking window. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yep, that's how you get a lot of people to turn against your cause. Fucking bozos. Nick Sordor. Now liberal white boomers are now out in full force, taking over Minnesota Target stores. Imagine being so worthless that you spend your Saturdays singing songs in support of child R-worders while harassing shoppers at Target. All right, brain dead. Okay. Brian Allen. Breaking: protesters in Minneapolis, Minnesota just signaled SOS on a lake amid ongoing demonstrations against ICE. Get it? They're on ice, protesting ICE. Cloudy with a chance of ice. SOS. Okay. Andy No. Portland, Oregon. January 31st, Antifa extremists aided by local unions and leftists came to attack the ICE facility. The riots were waving the Palestine flag and have been trying to tear off the protective wooden barrier. Freaking goofballs. Now they're playing EDM, or whoever that was. Oh, I know who that is. What was that? Kylie Minogue? All right. I can't believe that I knew that, if that's who that was. All right, whatever. So Andy No. Portland, Oregon. At the Antifa right outside the ICE facility, a man wearing Antifa symbols collides with an older person on a mobility scooter. The person on the scooter appears to have been knocked unconscious in the clash. This dude is a POS, I'm telling you.
Oh, shit, Jill! Oh, shit! Oh, shit, Jill! Oh, shit!
Yikes. Almost ran over my GDFN. What?
Popcorn! Popcorn!
Well, yeah, he's obviously out cold. Definitely out. Wow. Breaking 911, left-wing activists disrupted an event with Democratic Rep. Tom Suzy at a Jewish temple in New York. over his vote in favor of a bill that increased ICE funding.
You're gonna touch me, Alex Petty, Renee Good, Keith Porter, Parody Law. These people were killed by ICE this month. And you're gonna throw me out? These people, 9 people were killed by ICE this month, and you're throwing me out while I'm reading their names? How dare you?
Thank you. People are brainwashed. And look, the whole Alex Petty thing, I'm definitely on the fence with that. I think there's a very good chance that they absolutely should have not shot him. Just for the record, just waiting for all of that to come out in due time. Brian Allen News: Americans are marching through snowfall in Chicago, chanting, protesting, refusing to be silent against ICE. Freezing temperatures, freezing temps, zero fear. This isn't a moment, it's a movement. I've never seen anything like this. Respect to every single person out there putting their body on the line. So how many people live in Metro Chicago? Is it like 10 million people? It might actually be more than that. But if it's 10 million people and say 100,000 people showed up, what is that? 1%, a single 1% of the city's population. Anyway, so from Fox News, watch anti-ICE agitators rip down a security kiosk at a federal building in Los Angeles as thousands flood the street to protest ICE. That's not a protest, dude. That's a full-on riot. Yay, we knocked down something. Let's celebrate. All right, Fox News, you might want to check your words, dude. That was a riot. Libs of TikTok rioters completely trashed the ICE facility in Los Angeles. Send in the National Guard. I mean, look, how is the left wing, the mainstream media gonna consider this to be a peaceful protest? Just looking at this scene, there's no way that you can consider this to be in any way peaceful at all. And with all this footage that was gathered over the weekend, if President Trump were to invoke the Insurrection Act, I mean, look, we got plenty of footage to show that this is by far peaceful. It's not even remotely close to peaceful. Plus, they got all kinds of CCTV cameras all over the place, too, such as the one up there in the top right corner. Okay, so there's sound, but it's really quiet. I don't know if this is just somebody's drone or if this is... I mean, it's in LA, so it's probably a news helicopter. Even though they don't have the news as logo, it just says rapid report. So yeah, I'm just taking them at their word. I'm assuming, yeah, see that sign right there, that looks like the sign that would be positioned in front of a federal building. So, and of course it says F ICE, F Trump, F ICE, spray painting everywhere. So that was in LA, and January 31st. Assuming at some point yesterday. And from Jack Unheard, breaking, a leftist was arrested in LA after using a slingshot to fire quote-unquote hard metal objects at officers and setting a dumpster on fire outside a federal building. This is becoming a nationwide domestic terrorist attack. Yep, there you go. It's still ongoing. Benny Johnson, protesters have overtaken this and there's no police. You know things are bad in Los Angeles even when CNN is forced to tell the truth. Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass are allowing attacks on ICE. Well, yeah, of course they are.
You can see an officer back there. He's alone and they're just throwing things at him. I mean, it's just pretty incredible that these protesters have overtaken this and there's no police.
Incredible. And you know what she means by incredible. She means amazing, not necessarily unbelievable.
See anybody here to kind of manage this crowd. So like I was saying, this is at the tail end of a very long day. Looks like they're cheering because they were able to push that officer back inside. Okay, and now people, okay, all right, hold on. Do you see the...
Yeah, so what say you Democrats? Peaceful? 100% peaceful protest, huh? They're just innocently, peacefully protesting, not a hint of violence at all. Yeah, okay. Next order, breaking, absolute mayhem breaking out at the federal facility in Los Angeles as rioters descend on the building. Tear gas and pepper balls being deployed by agents. We have to stop tolerating this. So in California, federal officers, they've got to take their masks off, but it's perfectly fine for all these people to have all their masks on. There you go. That's who the Democratic Party is representing. That is who they're protecting, who they're taking cover for. One bad dude. This is Harvest Church in Riverside, California. So sad to see. Christian churches have become a target of the protesters as they surround it, holding signs and berating churchgoers as they need a police escort to navigate through the crowd. This is absolutely a spiritual battle we're in. Imagine surrounding churches while full of vile hatred and thinking you're on the side of good. Pray for the country. This is a battle we cannot afford to lose. Okay, you really could have gone without the freaking music.
Crazy. I've never been in it. No, me neither.
Straight across, watch your step. Go straight across, watch your step. Watch your step, go straight across.
As you can tell, it's not just about ICE. They're trying to undo everything, trying to destroy American culture. See, they don't like the religious part of the First Amendment. Of course not. Yeah, that statement kind of makes you wonder now, doesn't it? Well, as long as people keep paying attention, you better vote accordingly. You definitely have the power of your vote. That's the one peaceful way that you as an American citizen can change things. All right. Of course, it was on TikTok. And from Eric Daugherty, breaking White House fires back at Rep. Maxine Waters, showing up to a violent anti-ICE protest and saying, "We're going to fight you every inch of the way." Waters is quite possibly the lowest IQ individual to ever walk the face of the earth.
Representative, what is your message to the people here today?
Stay on the street. Stay on the street.
They're on federal property right now. What would you?
Stay on the street. Stay on.
What's your message to
Do they have a permit to be on the street, madam? Probably not.
And we thought you had sense enough with the president to start getting out of Minneapolis. But I guess you have no sense. And you don't understand.
So much for us living in a free country. We don't want you here.
Away. We don't want you in any of our cities in this country. And we're going to fight you every inch of the way.
What's your message to Donald Trump?
Donald Trump, you are absolutely the most outrageous, the most terrible, the most deplorable human being that I've ever met. You have no compassion for anybody. You have targeted this immigration, this migration, and you want to make MAGA people believe that you're all powerful and that you're going to see to it that they.
This is a party whose power is being threatened. This is what it looks like.
Everybody, Americans too. You see what they're doing up in Minneapolis. And so, Donald Trump, we are going to make sure we're going to beat you.
And what about Republicans? When their party is being threatened, they just seem to kind of go quietly into that good night. They don't really scream and rage like the Democrats tend to do. Eric Daugherty, it's official. The leftist agitators are paid and got caught packing up all of their equipment after clocking out of their designated protest time. David Kate got the entire thing on video, and they're furious. It's communist dollars.
If you've ever wondered how protests happen on the spot, this is exactly how. Without organizers, without the music, without the bullhorns, without all of these people coming together. And right now, with
oh yeah, man! All those people with megaphones, they're definitely getting paid. They all are.
None of the protests that you see that happen immediately after something happens, which is all the time now.
They took protesting 101 at college.
What's behind me is a combination of Party for Socialism and Liberation. We have Democrat Socialists of America here as well, and a couple very loose communist organizations like Revolutionary Communists for America. None of the protests that you see are organic. They're well organized, and because they're well organized, that means they're well funded through various campaigns, whether it's foreign influence campaigns or it could be even Democrat campaigns. So this is how it all happens.
Yeah, of course. And they use social media to spread the word around. That's absolutely what they do. Come on down. It'll be a great time. We can go down there and break some shit. All right, Nick Sorter breaking LAPD has begun firing crowd control munitions into the mob of rioters outside ICE Los Angeles. They're still refusing to leave, and as they're not used to push back from city cops. Keep up the pressure, LAPD. Hey, don't push me. Now imagine all these people being in charge. Imagine them running the entire show, running the whole country. Because if Democrats take back power, especially if they were to seize what would be a supermajority at some point in the future, that's exactly what we're going to get. Eric Daugherty breaking: DHS agents just rushed in and arrested a leftist agitator outside the federal building in Los Angeles. Agents are pulling up in armored vehicles. LFG, lay the hammer, make more arrests. And of course, if Democrats take back power, I would say ICE is as good as dissolved, pretty much. You know, they would definitely do that. Of course, after they nuke the filibuster, which would be the first thing Democrats would do. And they would dissolve any federal law enforcement pertaining to immigration. And then, of course, the floodgates would open up again. Eric Daugherty, holy crap, federal agents are charging at leftist agitators and making arrests at the LA Federal Building. One just got brought to the ground and carried while screaming like a child. I voted for this. More FAFO. These psychos will finally learn they're not above the law. Notice how quickly they just scatter and run. That's all you got to do, police. Just start running after them. Oh my God, they're disappearing me. They're kidnapping me. Of course, that's how they're going to spin it. She was kidnapped. She was disappeared. Breaking 911, high school students in Fort Worth, Texas walked out of class to join a nationwide shutdown against ICE on Friday.
Good job, kids. Keep it up.
All right, we got more of this. Let me adjust the volume. That was really quiet. Holy crap, leftist parents hauled their 7-year-old child to an anti-ICE riot. The kid got sprayed in the eye, and she's in excruciating pain. It's burning. They're coaching her on how to engage in riots at age 7. The parents need a visit from the police. All right. Yeah, despicable. Define L's. Why are children protesting Trump instead of being at school? Where are the parents? Okay, and we got one more. I have directed, this is from Governor Greg Abbott of Texas. I have directed the Education Commissioner to investigate this. AISD gets taxpayer dollars to teach the subjects required by the state, not to help students skip school to protest. Our schools are for educating our children, not political indoctrination. This is one of many reasons why AISD is losing so many students. And he's replying to Brian Phillips. Austin ISD let kids out of school with a police escort to protest ICE at the Capitol. Looks like we got some videos. Here, let me do this. I always have trouble. Here we go. I always have trouble getting these videos to play when they put multiples into one post. All right, here we go. I've got the sound maxed out, which is very quiet. Okay, so there's that one. That's just an image. F-ICE, lovely. Police, escort. And there you go. Unbelievable. Ridiculous. All right, so let's see. Okay, so I mean, therefore I am. Washington mother is going viral after removing her daughter from school when she was found out. And in Auburn, middle school let students walk out to protest ICE and block traffic. Oh man, this is 10 minutes.
Is this serious?
Sorry for the
my
loudness.
child today. This is my daughter's middle school. Being allowed to protest ICE agents, disrupting traffic, having everyone honk. I'm pulling my child from school today.
I'd be very wise.
This is fucking unbelievable.
course, when she goes in the administration, they're going to say, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not the right person to ask. Pass the buck all
I'm here to pull my
around.
child from the school right now. I'm here to pull Remington Gates from the school district.
So you want to withdraw?
Yep. This is unbelievable. I can't believe my kid is in this environment right now. I'm blown away.
Yep, insane. Every parent with any common sense would do the same thing.
I'm blown away. As a mother,
I don't care if you got to work 2 full-time jobs, you got to make it happen
this
somehow.
is disrupting traffic and my child's education. I need to see my kid. Okay. When she's down here, I will sign. Are you serious?
Because there's unfortunately some parental agreements where
Every time I bring it in, she doesn't check it because she knows me. That's interesting.
Okay, I just want to make sure Erica's
Yeah, this is it. What about the other side? What about my family?
Yeah, they don't care. It's all about indoctrination.
This is amazing. As I walked up, I was getting booed by every single student. By the way, I'm making that known. Because I didn't honk, I pulled up to make sure everyone was okay. Absolutely not.
Did we already get your student?
No.
And these people think there's nothing bad happening. They're like, what? What are you so freaked out for? Everything seems normal here.
I mean, we called for him and everything else. Okay. Will you go make sure? Who's your student? Just
Remington Gates, 7th grade.
From stairs to here? Yep,
And I want to be escorted to there because every single student booed me because I pulled up here, rolled down my window. Is everything okay? What's going on? To run into this? I didn't honk. I parked as soon as I walked up. I'm telling you right now, this is going to be a huge problem, guys. I cannot believe that my child is in this environment right now. I'm ashamed and I'm embarrassed as a parent and as an adult.
And
Wow,
a taxpayer. Don't forget
safe
that.
here.
I'm sure she pays
No,
property
obviously
tax.
not. I wasn't safe walking to the front door. Are you kidding me? I wasn't safe driving up. Most of these little gang members that cornered my child are out here too, so that's interesting as well.
Would you like a
No, because
I'll walk out there with you, but would you like a second person to use? So just our security guard as well?
no, I just need someone that can see if anything happens to me and my child. I don't trust people like this.
Can you please pop into the main office with you real quick, please?
All right. Well, unfortunately, I'm going to cut it here because that's 10 minutes. I'm definitely going to watch that later. But this will be reposted as well. It was also posted by I Meme, Therefore I Am at I Am Meme 0. And that was at 10:50 a.m. So I'm assuming this was probably on Friday because there was a lot of, as we've already seen, a lot of other schools around were doing the same thing. And another one from Right Angle News Network. Breaking shocking video out of Portland, Oregon shows teachers at the Portland Montessori school leading children, some no older than 5 or 6, in an anti-ICE protest, sparking mass calls to remove any licenses the school may have. The teachers look exactly how to think. Yeah, that looks about right now, doesn't it? And again, it's Portland, Oregon, so that's not a big surprise. Well, being Portland, Oregon, I'm sure a lot of these kids' parents are probably perfectly fine with that. Would not be surprising, but I'm sure there's some that are not, though. And it's just unfortunate. After seeing all of this stuff, people just still won't take the time to vote. It blows my mind. All right, one bad dude. Liberals are now using young children as props in their war on federal agents. They have so few people on their side of voting age that they have to take advantage of those who rely on them the most. Keep these people as far away from children as humanly possible. And which party was it again who wants to drop the voting age down to 16? Oh, yeah, that's right. It was Democrats. Of course they do. And it makes you wonder, who are they protesting in front of? There's nobody down this street. It's all about indoctrination. They're just trying to essentially brainwash these children because there's no ICE agents down here. There's not a group of people whose minds that they're trying to change. Isn't that the whole point of protesting that you're trying to make it apparent that you've got a cause that you believe is worth fighting for, and you're trying to convey your message to somebody. Who's there to convey the message to? Yep, insane. Absolutely insane. This is the world we're in right now. And April sparks, why would children of this age need to learn how to protest? This is indoctrination of our elementary school children. This post led with learning our rights, practicing using our voices, leading with kindness. Holy cow, I'm sorry. Good grief. Well, by the way, are these parents okay with their children's faces being all over the internet? And that in and of itself is crazy. All right, so we'll move on to news. Barron Trump, it's a commentary account. It's not the Barron Trump. Breaking, Tom Homan just made a powerful point about the violence we're seeing around federal immigration enforcement. He says when politicians publicly label ICE and Border Patrol as Nazis and racists, it emboldens a tiny minority of extremists who then act on that rhetoric, including attacking federal officers. He also stressed he doesn't want to see anybody killed, and neither does Donald Trump, even as enforcement continues. This comes amid major protests and unrest after multiple fatal shootings by federal agents in Minneapolis, including the January 24th. Okay, well, we get all that. Alex Preddy. Real Tom and Homan is calling for law and order, standing firm on enforcement.
Oh, no. Politicians are cause of a lot of the rhetoric. When they hear a senator or a congressman call us Nazis and racists, that just empowers and emboldens that small percentage that are already nuts, and they're going to take action against an ICE officer. Wow. And I said it during my speech. I don't want to see anybody die, and neither does President Trump. So please, let's continue this discussion. Let's continue working with us in the jails and the prisons so we can protect the communities of Minneapolis and make this country safe again.
All right. And rolling on to the next. One American News. Border czar Tom Homan says his team has located more than 145,000 unaccompanied migrant children who were released to unvetted sponsors and later lost contact under Biden. Watch OAN Live. Okay.
Border czar Tom Homan announces his team has located more than 145,000 unaccompanied immigrant children who were handed over to unvetted sponsors and disappeared under the Biden administration. Homan announced the accomplishment
human beings
in
who
Expo's
really
Friday.
disappeared.
Current federal policy dictates
Not the ones who
that
pretend to be
unaccompanied minors
disappeared,
that do
but
not
indeed
come
they were
from
actually
countries
arrested.
bordering the United States cannot be returned home before going through formal removal proceedings. These children are identified as being at an elevated risk of harm, and Homan said the Biden administration lost more than 300,000 of them.
Over 300,000. And again, that was on One American News. Mark Wayne Mullen, shutting down DHS doesn't prevent ICE from doing their job. They will be funded for the next 3 to 4 years because of one big, beautiful bill. The president has come out and said, listen, I'll work with the Democrats, but the theater on this is absurd.
What's your take on what's going to happen here? Well, Martha, we're still kind of negotiating through this process. The Democrats aren't really negotiating in good faith. Their demands for DHS is unreasonable. I mean, a while ago you showed a clip of Patty Murray.
Well, that's not the only thing that they've done recently that's unreasonable, like shutting down the government back in the fall, demanding $1.5 trillion for all their DEI bullshit.
Murray even said earlier this week that shutting down DHS doesn't prevent ICE from doing their job. In fact, it only prevents people from getting relief from FEMA. And so what the Democrats are proposing is ridiculous.
It's not only FEMA, they defund the Coast Guard too, and Secret Service.
First of all, that's only about 3% of the
and
government.
TSA again.
ICE is still going to be funded for the next 3 or 4 years because of appropriations we put in on one big beautiful bill. What it does shut down is FEMA. It shuts down Secret Service, it shuts down TSA, and it shuts down our Coast Guard. And so we're trying to get an impasse. President Trump has come
it
out
shuts
and said,
down the
"Listen,
Department of
I'll
Homeland
work with
Security
Chuck
for crying out
Schumer.
loud."
I'll work with the Democrats. I'll do what we can. But what
You know, the department that maintains security for our country.
We'll probably end up having to spin off the 5 bills, which will fund roughly 97% of the government. And then we're trying to do at least a short-term CR for 2 to 4 weeks, possibly. We've asked for actually 6 weeks, and try to work out their differences here. It's actually absurd what this political theater that the Democrats are doing here with DHS.
All right, Senator Mark.
Well, yeah, that's where we're at right now. Democrats have doubled down to the point where they want to remove any and all security for the United States. And it seems like any way, shape, or form. I mean, what's next? I mean, I'm almost afraid to say it because whatever I say, it's probably going to be next because it's gotten this crazy. Well, they're going to defund the military next, probably. Breaking 911, Boston's Mayor Wu. Every single human being has the legal right to come to the United States and seek shelter.
Every person, every human being has the legal right to come to the United States and seek asylum or shelter. And
Nope, no, they don't. Not every single one. Not for economic circumstances. I mean, I suppose you can join Congress to try to rewrite the law. Homeland Security as DHS. Okay, so this is replying to Ted Lieu. Hold on, let me get the initial one first from Rep. Ted Lieu. So, dear DHS, what was the basis for drawing guns on this American and arresting her? Why did the agents then later release her without charges? And the post he replied to, DHS agents in Minnesota swerved in front of an unarmed woman who was recording them once again walk in front of a car with guns drawn. The only thing they've learned from Renee Good is how to get away with killing people. A local cop interviewed to stop the illegal arrest. Well, DHS gives their response to what happened here. So let's take a look at this first.
I think someone needs to call 911. They are seriously attacking me.
We'll call 911 right now.
Yep.
What's your location?
Call 911. I'm right at the corner of Jefferson. No, I will not. I
Bust
will
your
not
window
get
out,
out
lady.
of the car. No. I will not get out of the car. You guys, I need CEOs here now.
Get out of the car.
No, I will not get out of the car. You
Get out
can't
of the fucking
do this.
car.
Get your hands off of me. Get your fucking hands off me. Get your hands off me. I am not doing shit.
Apparently, she was a leftist agitator. But we'll find out in a minute.
This is my constitutional right.
We're calling 911 right now.
I am not. You cannot arrest me. I'm observing. You can't arrest
I'm observing. What are you observing, lady? So you're not just some innocent motorist. What do you mean by observing?
Get off of me. Get off of me.
Under arrest.
Someone call the MP or someone call the
I say, let me speak to your manager. Is that where we're going with this?
Call the police. Call them now.
Oh, there's another agitator probably following her around.
Call them now.
We're calling 911. We're calling 911. They're calling 911 right now.
Okay, so that was that. And the United States Department of Homeland Security says the following. As DHS law enforcement conducted a targeted operation to arrest a serial criminal illegal alien whose rap sheet includes multiple arrests for assault, domestic violence, and driving under the influence, an agitator began stalking and obstructing law enforcement. Law enforcement officers attempted to pull her over using their emergency lights to issue her a warning. Ignoring law enforcement commands, the agitator refused to pull over and began driving recklessly, including running stop signs, nearly colliding with multiple vehicles, and driving directly at law enforcement in an attempt to ram her vehicle. Her actions endangered law enforcement officers, the public, and allowed this violent criminal to remain at large. Our officers arrested the agitator. Obstructing law enforcement is a felony and a federal crime. Well, then I would ask DHS, why would you issue her a warning then? If she was already obstructing law enforcement with her vehicle, let's say she did pull over right away, why would you issue a warning to her when she already obstructed to the point where this serial illegal alien was able to get away? I mean, I think that's insane. I think now they should be at the point where they have had it. If somebody takes one step in front of them, arrest them for obstruction and try to get the maximum out of it too, which would be 8 years in prison, no matter what. But they're not doing that. They're still just giving miles and miles. It's ridiculous. All right, Bill Malugan breaking. Texas federal judge Fred Beery, Clinton appointee, has ordered the release of 5-year-old Liam Conejo Ramos and his father from ICE detention in Texas. In his decision, he includes a photo of the boy and gets today's date wrong. February 31st doesn't exist, while saying that ICE's administrative warrants do not pass probable cause muster. That is called the fox guarding the hen house. The Constitution requires an independent judicial officer. Judge Beery then goes on to write, observing human behavior confirms that for some among us, the perfidious lust for unbridled power and the imposition of cruelty in its quest knows no bounds, and there are bereft of human decency, and the rule of law be damned. Ultimately, petitioners may, because of the arcane United States immigration system, return to their home country involuntarily or by self-deportation. But that result should occur through a more orderly and humane policy than currently in place. Judge Beery's LinkedIn page also shows him liking a post today about millions protesting President Trump's policies. Yeah, that's a no big shocker. And that's the judge. And so, yeah, that's apparently his opinion that he wrote and his signature. And then he showed the image of the child. Fred Beery, U.S. District Judge at U.S. District Court in San Antonio. Let's see. Activity. Millions across the U.S. and Europe spent their Saturday morning protesting Trump's policies. Why are people in Europe protesting Trump? That sounds a little retarded, in my opinion. Okay, so yeah, that happened. And this is from Gunther Eagleman. Just for your information, the Nazis were left-wing. And Nazi, socialism, liberals, socialism. Nazis, no guns. Liberals, no guns. Censorship, censorship. Media mind control, abortion, abortion. The Nazis hated Jews. Liberals hate Jews and whites. Worships the government, which of course they do. You remember back during the COVID era? Remember when Rage Against the Machine? Remember they were raging on behalf of the machine? And all the other obedient leftists were all screaming that everybody needs to double mask? All right, so Homeland Security, the story of a 5-year-old being used as bait is a smear pushed by the media and anti-ICE activists. He was abandoned by his father and mother. Where's the outrage from the same people over the 450,000 unaccompanied children that Biden lost and abandoned? Look, I take kind of an issue with this number because you got the border czar Tom Homan saying 300,000. The FBI, they say 350,000. Homeland Security says 450,000. It'd be nice that they all got on the same page with regard to how many unaccompanied children that were lost under the Biden administration. But look, I see what that number really conveys is the fact that they don't know. It could be 500,000, it could be 800,000. We just really don't know. So it's almost like the number is just so horrifically high that just pick a number. I mean, let's go with 450,000 today. It's probably still not even half of the true number of children who went missing under the Biden administration.
Let me be clear. These families always get the opportunity to stay together. This child has been with his father, which was the father's choice. We offered them the opportunity to go home, to send them back to their home country if they would like to. The father chose to stay, and therefore we're following the legal process. But it's shocking to me the media's lies about not just that story, but day after day after day about what we do for work in this country to bring people that are dangerous criminals to justice and then remove them from our country if they don't belong here, if they came here illegally. We have the opportunity every day for people who want to go home and are in this country illegally. We give you $2,600. We buy you a plane ticket and send you home right now. That's a voluntary program. We've had millions of people take advantage of that. That is something that we still want individuals to make the right decisions so they have the chance to come back to this country the right way.
Yeah, because if they don't, if they get picked up, then they won't be allowed back into the country. At least not until the Democrats get back in charge. Then they'll just open up the floodgates and let anybody come in. Anybody who takes a step on American soil, you become an instant U.S. citizen. I mean, you don't think that they would be able to do that? They will if they nuke the filibuster, because if they control the House and the Senate, they could pretty much pass whatever the hell they want if they've got a Democrat in the presidency. Eric Doherty, holy crap, in a jaw-dropping rebuke of Gavin Newsome, the Los Angeles Police Department is refusing to enforce the state's new ban on ICE agents wearing masks to protect from doxing. Brutal loss for Newsome. The reality of one armed agency approaching another to create conflict, it doesn't make any sense.
The reality of one armed agency approaching another armed agency to create conflict over something that would be a misdemeanor at best or an infraction, it doesn't make any sense.
It makes perfect sense. They're trying to invoke civil war. They're trying to start a civil war. That's exactly what they're trying to do.
Chief McDonald
They want to burn
went
the
on
system
say
down.
the
It's
state's
just that
federal
simple.
mask ban is not a good public policy decision, adding, in his opinion, it was not well thought out due to the possibility of conflict between law enforcement agencies.
It's all a
The ban
bunch
on
of
face
virtue
coverings,
signaling.
known as the No Secret Police Act, was introduced following immigration raids.
They want to
across
appease
Southern
the
California
outrage
that
mob.
began last summer. The law went into effect on
But see, I think one of the big problems Democrats have, they believe that this leftist outrage mob is much larger than they actually are. That they represent, I would say, most likely less than 10% of the population.
January 1st, but is not being enforced because the Department of Justice is currently challenging it in court. So far, the judge presiding over that case has indicated that the federal government has a strong argument that this could be discrimination against federal agents, since some California state law enforcement is...
Yeah, very, very interesting. Paul A. Cispula, Mayor Mamdani on Saturday appointed a former inmate to be the commissioner of the Department of Corrections. You can't make that up. This is consistent with Mamdani appointing other wrong people to head departments. He picked a woman as FDNY commissioner who's never been a firefighter. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Stanley will make history in this role as the first ever formerly incarcerated person to serve as commissioner.
Hilarious. Way to go, New York.
Is not merely symbolic.
Welcome to
It
Clown
is a
World.
testament to the thought and leadership he will bring to every member of corrections staff and incarcerated New Yorkers.
Well, what's funny is that he didn't go over like all of his overwhelming credentials, is amazing of a job that he's had throughout his career. He decided to lead with, he's going to be the first ever commissioner who was once incarcerated.
And as the former first deputy commissioner
Welcome to the Democratic
for
Party.
the DOC and the executive vice president of the Fortune Society, that work has long been Stanley's purpose.
When we provide support, when we center our collective work on hope instead of fear.
Yeah, he's not going to be indicted one day for, I don't know, embezzlement or bribery or fraud or God knows what.
The worst thing that they've ever done.
You know, things that bureaucrats who are Democrats tend to get caught up in.
We can achieve the unimaginable.
All right, so there you go. Mamdani's New York. And speaking of which, from Amuse, New York City, welcome to month 1 of Islamic Marxist rule in the Big Apple. People dying on the streets, 200 police officers quitting each month. Let's have a look. See what New York looks like today. Yeah, it looks about right. Even the speed bumps are out of control. All right, so we got another one. I believe Mamdani has been mayor for 30 days, and so far, bus and subway fares are up and services slower. 13 homeless people froze to death. There have been 15 homicides. Our words, are up 11%. The city faces a $12.6 billion fiscal cliff, and socialism is working as expected. All right, so let's move into some of the Don Lemon stuff. From James Woods, indicted by a grand jury of his peers. In case you missed it, there's Don Lemon's mugshot from January 30th, which, by the way, he's already been let out. Of course he has. So Eric Doherty, just in, President Trump eviscerates church stormer Don Lemon after he was criminally charged for FACE Act violations. Quote, he's a sleazebag. Everyone's known that. A washed up, probably from his standpoint, this is the best thing that could happen to him. He has no viewers, a failure, a failed host.
Don Lemon thing, but he's a sleazebag. Everyone's known that. He's a wash-up. Probably, from his standpoint, the best thing that could happen to him. He's getting, he had no viewers. He was a failure. He was a failed host, and now he's in the news. I didn't know anything about it.
Well, yeah, the only thing he's been doing lately is just walking around in the streets and just interviewing random people. You know, like how Jay Leno used to do his thing way back in the day. All right, rolling on to another one from Amuse Lawfare. Not only did Democrat Judge Patricia Donahue release Don Lemon without bail, she is letting him leave the country in June for a beach vacation with his lover, real estate agent Tim Malone. Don't even get me started about double standards. So, yeah, there you go. Judge greenlights Don Lemon's foreign travel while facing 11 years in prison. Democrat Judge Patricia A. Donahue approved Don Lemon's request to leave the U.S. and travel to France, where he faces federal charges tied to the attack on a Minnesota church. Prosecutors say Lemon could receive up to 11 years in prison if convicted. There you go. There's your two-tier justice system. It's all about, rules for thee, not for me. Wall Street Mav. Remember when Don Lemon tried to argue for white people paying reparations, and this lady beat him so bad that he ended the segment early? I don't remember this. Hillary. Okay, so they're just quotes. We'll hear it in the video.
Well, this is coming when, there's all of this wealth and you hear about it comes as England is facing rising costs of living, a living crisis, austerity budget cuts, and so on. And then you have those who are asking for reparations for colonialism, and they're wondering, $100 billion.
Yeah, well, none of us was alive when that happened.
Here and there, 500 million there. Some people want to be paid back, and members of the public are wondering, why are we suffering when you are...
And what percentage of Americans were slave owners? What was it, like 2%? Something like that?
Well, I think you're right about reparations in terms of if people want it, though, what they need to do is you always need to go back to the beginning of a supply chain. Where was the beginning of the supply chain? That was in Africa, and when across the entire world, when the slavery was taking place.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, look, they're not going to have any ability to purchase slaves if you had no beginning of said supply chain.
Which was the first nation in the world that abolished slavery? The first nation in the world to abolish it. It was started by William Wilberforce, was the British. In Great Britain, they abolished slavery. 2,000 naval men died on the high seas trying to stop slavery. Why?
Wow.
Because the African kings were rounding up their own people. They had them on cages waiting in the beaches. No one was running into Africa to get them.
So nobody wants to tell that story.
If reparations need to be paid. We need to go right back to the beginning of that supply chain and say, who was rounding up their own people and having them handcuffed in cages? Absolutely.
I bet he didn't expect that argument.
And maybe, I don't know, the descendants of those families where they died in the high seas trying to stop the slavery, that those
where's their
families
reparations?
should receive something too, I think, at the same time.
You think something be owed to them?
It's an interesting discussion.
Look, and it's the same argument with the Civil War. I mean, how many hundreds of thousands of white men died in the Civil War trying to abolish slavery by force?
Hillary, thank you very much.
Of course, nobody wants to talk about that on the left.
Discuss in the future. So remember the impact of this.
Yeah, he didn't really have anything to say about that at all. He just moved right on. All right, Eric Daugherty, David Sachs just exposed it. The upcoming census is doomsday for Democrats. Mass deportations will mean they lose House seats and presidential electoral votes. Blue states are expected to lose 9 House seats and electoral votes because of the changing population numbers. Democrats want to thwart mass deportations because illegal immigrants are a vital part to their power base. You can see this in the 2030 apportionment forecast, which just came out. Illegal aliens count toward the census, which occurs every decade. What you see in these maps is that citizens of blue states have been migrating to red states because those blue states are failing. Illegal aliens in blue states have been propping up those numbers. And so, for example, in the last election, President Trump would have won an additional 9 electoral votes if we had an accurate accounting. I think, to be honest, I think he would have probably won a lot more than just 9.
The Democrats want to thwart mass deportations because illegal immigrants are a vital part of their power base. And you can see this in the 2030 apportionment forecast, which just came out. Illegal aliens count towards the census, which occurs every decade. And the census determines the apportionment of congressional seats and electoral votes. And what you see in these maps is that citizens of blue states have
I actually shared this map on the Swamp just last week
because those blue states are failing. As a result of that, blue states are expected to lose 9 House seats and electoral votes because of the changing population numbers. Illegal aliens in blue states have been propping up those numbers. And so, for example, in the last election, President Trump would
not only that, man, citizens are fleeing blue states too.
If we had an accurate counting, the Democrats want to thwart mass deportation.
Okay, so there's that, man. That's something to look forward to. Holy smokes, Minnesota could be on its way to flipping red. New poll just dropped, finding by 14 points. Minnesotans want Democrat leaders to assist ICE and President Trump with arresting illegals. Help ICE, 50%, up 14 points. Don't help, sitting at 36%. Brutal, flip red. Minnesota elect a GOP governor this year. Look, I wouldn't exactly hold my breath on that. I think Minnesota, at least on the federal level, they've been voting blue no matter who since like what, the 60s or something. It's been a hell of a long time. I mean, it was Minnesota who was a holdout for Richard Nixon. I think it was his second term. I think every single state in the union except for Minnesota voted for Richard Nixon, and I think the same went for Ronald Reagan too. I think one of his 2 elections, I think it was every single state, maybe Minnesota and one other, but Minnesota was the one state, or at least one of like 2 states that went for Democrats in those elections. Anyway, that was from Eric Daugherty. And another one from Eric Daugherty. It's official. 84% of America wants the Save America Act passed, mandating nationwide voter ID to end election fraud. This is a huge win if the congressional GOP just got it done. Save 2026. And that is a Gallup poll. So they did actually share the source of the data. Voter ID opinion. Do you favor or oppose requiring all voters to provide photo ID at their voting place in order to vote? 84% favor, only 15 oppose. Rep. Eli Crane, agree. What does he agree with? Gunther Eagleman, members of Congress should be ashamed of themselves. The amount of corruption that has been exposed is absurd, all at the expense of the American taxpayers. Yet the 535 members turn a blind eye and keep handing out blank checks with no accountability year after year. Inexcusable and pathetic. Agree? Agree. Definitely agree. And Anna Paulina Luna. Attention House GOP members, if anyone whipping the vote for these appropriations tells you they can't attach the Save America Act to it because it is concurrent with the Senate, they are lying to you. We can put the Save Act in the rule. This means voter ID and secure elections. And we got General Mike Flynn breaking 2026 midterm election update. This may be an anecdotal, but but it is an important indicator nonetheless. Being told voter turnout was horrible in this election, cited below. Numbers in 2022 midterms were 288,000. Yesterday turnout was only 94,000. So he's talking about this region in Texas, where they held a special election. So why, from people on the ground, no accountability equals no show at the polls. President Trump, this is bad. You, me, all of us are in trouble if and when the left regains the political wins of WDC. And then he tags in the GOP, Texas GOP, Speaker Johnson, and Susie Wiles. And this is from Scott Gordon. Political earthquake in Tarrant County, Texas, the biggest red county in the country. Democrat Taylor Remmett beats Republican Lee Wambongs, I have no idea how to say his name, in state Senate district that Trump carried in 2024 by 17 points. The district hasn't voted Democratic in half a century. Yeah, that's kind of alarming. I think a lot of it has to do with Republicans having absolutely no ground game at all. At least it would seem. I mean, there's like one guy out there that most people, or that some people are familiar with, and it's Scott Presler. I would say if Scott Presler, just one man, just one individual, Scott Presler, if he focused the last year in just that county alone, there's no way that would have happened. Absolutely not. Like it's insane. Like how much that you can accomplish with a ground game if you devote like all of your time to it like he does. It's incredible. Inevitable West breaking. The UN has issued a letter to its 193 member states warning that they faced imminent financial collapse after Donald Trump cut U.S. funding. The globalists are panicking. I don't know if they attached an article to this or not. No. Okay. Just a statement from Inevitable West, I guess. I mean, look, he said that they issued a letter. Sure would have been nice to have read the letter. Bill Mitchell, Trump just ordered full declassification on Crossfire Hurricane. Hillary's Russia hoax is about to get nuked. Brennan briefed Obama and Biden on Clinton's plan to falsely link Trump to Russia. They knew, they approved. Explosive details from the files. Durham already confirmed the setup. Now the full truth drops. Swamp rats exposed and Clinton's crew facing the music big time. I follow back all verified accounts, yada. All right, so let's take a look at this.
Next, sir, we have a presidential memorandum for your attention. This memorandum requires the immediate declassification of all FBI files relating to the Crossfire Hurricane investigation. This is obviously one of the instances of the weaponization of law enforcement powers of prosecution against you and others. We believe that it's long past time for the American
that's exactly what I was about to say.
What exactly is in those files.
This is kind of a long time coming.
Which gives the media the right to go in and check it. You probably won't bother
go read it all.
because you're not going to like what you see.
Yep, it'll all be out in the open.
This was total weaponization. It's a disgrace. Should never happen in this country. But now you'll be able to see for yourselves, all declassified.
There you go, all declassified.
Is that correct? Would you say? All declassified?
Yes, sir.
Everything?
No redactions.
The FBI file with there's a classified annex, but other than that, this we'll put everything in the public eye.
Classified annex.
Is anybody going to look? What about you? You going to look?
Probably not. No. Instant swept under the rug
Frankly, the FBI should
from the
be
mainstream
ashamed
media.
of themselves,
The red lights all
and
just
so
turned
should
off.
The Department of Justice, and so should Biden.
Okie dokie, man. Let's go, man. You just signed it, so it should be coming out. When was this posted? So this was posted this morning, so he might have actually signed that, and probably actually just signed that this morning. I mean, obviously, I was focusing a good portion of my day trying to compile all of this, so I didn't have a chance to actually go through and see exactly when that was signed. But I assume that was probably today, or at least within the last day or two. John Jackson, you think there's just a couple of rhinos in the Senate? We are inundated. The redheaded libertarian posts that these are the Republican senators who helped Democrats strike down Senator Rand Paul's amendment to strip $5.2 billion in refugee welfare from the spending package. So if your senator is on this list, I would highly recommend you get in contact with their office. Chances are they're not going to answer the phone, but you can leave a message. And I believe they have to listen to all the messages. I mean, you're the one that elected them. They have to represent you. You're their constituent, so you can call them, you can email them. And look, a lot of political activists, they recommend that you reach out to them in more than one method, email, phone call, and do so over and over. No, I would recommend reaching out or replying to their posts because all of our politicians are all right here on the X platform. I just don't think any of them actually read any of it. I think it's just people who work for them who are posting all day long, even though it is under their official government account. I mean, I'm sure that they can't just post willy-nilly whatever the hell they want. I mean, it has to be representative of the politician that they're working for. All right, so anyway, Eric Daugherty breaking. Nick Shirley just teamed up with a California woman who has knowledge of ghost daycares in San Diego, potentially in the billions. It's about to get real. So if you don't recognize Nick Shirley's name, he was the guy who blew wide open the daycare scandal, all the fraud that was happening in Minnesota with regard to daycare, hundreds of millions of dollars, I believe. And the Leering Center, which is beyond a meme at this point. It's iconic at this point. That classic sign where it was a daycare center that they called the Learning Center, but they forgot to put the N in learning. The Leering Center. So anyway, Nick Shirley, he was the guy that broke all that wide open. He's in California, man. He's about to bust open the fraud of daycares in SoCal. So anyway, Gavin Newsome hates this news. Amy Reichert has discovered daycares with absolutely no children, and Newsome shut down public access to the info. I got word from the governor's office there's been a directive to actually shut down public access. He's trying to cover his tracks. This is a cover-up. We're talking about billions of dollars in California. Nick Shirley is about to drop a bomb. Well, I guess he can only drop a bomb if he's able to access what apparently the governor is restricting access to. I guess we'll just have to wait and see what he comes up with.
After what's been exposed with the daycares in Minnesota, I'm a licensed private investigator in California. I started looking into state records, and I found ghost daycares.
Okay, so she's already got the information.
Where the state inspector showed up, there would be 28 kids enrolled, and there were no kids there in the middle of the day.
But they still got their funding.
And in the middle of the week.
Who's getting rich?
So a ghost daycare. Is that something Gavin Newsome could say, all right, we'll try to shut that down? Does he co-opt?
And you know what? Parents these days are wondering, why the hell does it cost an average of $1,500 to send your pre-K child to daycare these days? Probably has a lot to do with this. Because government funding is being dumped into daycare centers all across the country in the billions of dollars. And because so much money is being funneled in, the daycare centers, they have a pretty good incentive to raise the rates of daycare substantially because parents who are getting government funding for daycares, the government's effectively just cutting a blank check. It's like, oh, we don't care how much it costs. Whatever it is, the government will pay for it. So why wouldn't they jack up the cost for daycare up to $1,500? And then every day, regular working Americans are stuck having to pay an extremely high cost. That's probably exactly why daycare has increased so substantially in the last few years.
When you start raising this?
No, in fact, today it got word from the governor's office. There's been a directive to actually shut down public access. So right now you can't even search the own state website to look into these ghost daycares, but I have found a workaround.
Okay, well, we don't want to tell the
hopefully
governor
you
that
captured
you found a
all of that
workaround,
already.
But it does sound like he's trying to cover his tracks, like this is a cover-up.
We're talking about billions of dollars in California.
Yeah, why would he do that anyway? Unless he is trying to cover up something. Because shouldn't this all be a matter of public record as taxpayer funds, Governor?
Today in New York, Kathy Hochul, she said she wants to increase child care subsidies to $4.5 billion.
Insane.
We're talking about the same amount in California, if not even more.
Yep, and that's going to make childcare wildly unaffordable for everybody. I mean, the cost of childcare in New York is going to go up to like probably $2,000, $3,000 a month. I think what they're really doing, they're just trying to make it so that people just cannot have children anymore. Because, like I've said many times on The Swamp, all roads lead to depopulation. All of it does. The climate change stuff, the abortion nonsense, pitting women against men, like just LGBTQ, all of it does. It all points to depopulation. Climate change. All right, moving on. Resist the mainstream. Tune in. Lydia Moynihan destroys LA Mayor Karen Bass. She said she wakes up every day worried about Donald Trump. I mean, 7,000 houses burned down when she was in Ghana last year. I think she should wake up every day trying to get those houses rebuilt.
Let's talk about Karen Bass for a minute, too. She said she wakes up every day worried about Donald Trump. I mean, 7,000 houses burned down and she was in Ghana last year. I think she should wake up every day trying to get those houses rebuilt. There's only been 10 that have been rebuilt. LA is a disaster. I was there last week. RVs lining the street because there's 200,000 people who don't have homes. I'm very tired, especially of Mamdani and Bass opining on all of these national issues when their cities need people who are managing what's going on the street.
Her city is...
Oh, yeah, they certainly do. But they don't really care. It's all about we need this and we need that without any real plans to fix any of it. From Based Mike Lee, Senator Mike Lee from Utah, will this land as she hoped? From Clown World, people voted for this woman. That's the craziest part. So this is a real-life Nebraska senator.
Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people.
I have a feeling she ran unopposed.
We need trans people. We love trans people.
This is why you don't let liberals run unopposed.
Matter. And I am fighting for you. And I will not stop. I will not stop today. I will not stop tomorrow. You are loved.
Oh, we believe you.
You matter. You belong here.
God, these people are insane. They make it sound like that they're just like being rounded up and thrown into internment camps. You know, even though they're like what, less than 1% of the population anyway. But yeah, they can enjoy the same benefits as any other American. The only thing they can't do is use the bathrooms for the opposite sex of which they are assigned by the creator, by genetics, by biology. All right, Elon Musk, China electricity generation is still growing super fast, with solar being the largest incremental contributor and will exceed America by a factor of 3x, either this year or next. I wasn't even aware that China was producing that much solar. I knew that they had been producing it, but from what I heard, they were still putting almost all their money into coal, that they're still building up tons of coal power plants, but that doesn't exactly look to be the case. They're building up their solar grid, which might also be contributing to the reason why silver had skyrocketed so quickly. Let's see. The scale of China's energy grid is insanely large and highly increasing. In 2025, they held 33.2% of the global electricity generation, more than double the USA. That's 1/3 of the world's capacity. Then the rest of the world combined ends up with 52.6%, an absolute dominant force in global power generation, global electricity generation in 2025. Yep, China, they've already more than doubled our electricity generation, which still like 70%, something like that, is coal power. I actually think that I dropped a comment to that effect. Let me see if I can find that. I think it was under Elon's post. Let's have a look. Maybe not. No. Okay. I thought I did, but maybe not. All right. So we'll just roll on to the next. Let's see. Solar is not a source of energy. It is the source of energy. I don't know. I would go as far as to say probably not. I would have a lot more faith in either nuclear or hydroelectric power. Hydroelectric power seems to be a pretty solid source of power too. China installed more than twice as much solar capacity in the first half of 2025 as the rest of the world combined, doubling down to solar. Wow. Well, this also makes sense as to why China wants to bottleneck rare earth minerals, even though it's not necessarily rare earth minerals that go into the solar panels themselves, but rare earth minerals are certainly needed for battery capacity. China installed more than twice as much solar capacity in the first half of 2025 as the rest of the world combined. There you go with the bar graph. And a non-cooker, Bitcoin finally crashed below 80,000 as promised. I want to change someone's life. It's in one beat. Yeah, whatever. It wasn't the post that I was after. It was this image that Bitcoin had dropped. I think it dropped down to like 78,000. And then it may have like briefly rebounded. But when I checked it earlier today, it was still below 80,000. It was like right around this number. It's in like the 79,000 range. So yeah, man, not only did silver take a massive dump, but so did Bitcoin. And from Keemstar, he says Bitcoin's crashing, so is Ethereum, XRP, gold, silver, S&P 500, NASDAQ banks. The dollar isn't, though. The dollar actually increased substantially, at least from what I read. And Watcher.guru, just in, $230 billion wiped out from the crypto market cap today. And that is not the first time that happened. It was like late last year. When was that? Like October, November of last year. Cryptocurrency took another massive tank, and it's still not recovered. It just keeps going down and down. Of course, all the crypto bros, they keep saying, oh no, man, Bitcoin, it's going to hit the moon. It's going to hit $1 million. Not so sure about all that. Anyway, so from Kitten, nobody knows who you are or your father, but if we know that, the president of the USA, who is on that banner you wanted to break, nobody knows who you are, your father. We know that the president of the USA, who is on that banner you wanted to break. Anyway, I thought this was a bit entertaining.
Oh!
Bam! I don't know what the hell that was. It looked like, what, an orange or something?
You know who I am? You know who my dad is? Who are you? My dad's gonna sue you. He's a congressman. I'll blast you again if you don't back up. My dad's a congressman.
Is he really a congressman, though?
Oh!
I love it, man. That reminds me of another one that I saw. It was a few years ago. Somebody had Trump signs on the side of the road in front of their house, and somebody kept running him over. So he hid a 2x4 right at the base of his yard sign, and he had stuck nails in it. So the next time a truck, it was some pickup truck that drove up to it and popped all his tires. It was hilarious. Anyway, so I think this is the last. Oh, no, it's not. Okay, so breaking 911, a pipe burst caused flooding in Fulton County Jail in Georgia. I'm assuming from the freezing. A lot of cold weather, man. Like I said, we had flurries, snow here in St. Petersburg, Florida last night. I didn't get to see him, though. I stayed up till about 3 in the morning. I didn't see him. Holy shit, man. Look at that. Crazy. Yeah, I'm just going to close that up, pretend that didn't just happen. Oh, wow. Holy crap, man. I wonder if it's hot water. It kind of looks a little steamy. Maybe not, though. Nah, it'd probably be a lot more steamy than that. But yeah, I got up again at like 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm running on like 4 hours of sleep because I was hoping to see snow flurries, but I didn't get to see them. Apparently, like the best time was like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, which just sounds like I just barely missed them, but whatever, that's all right. Bill Mitchell, DeSantis is going full beast mode, letting Floridians vote to wipe out property taxes. Yes, he is. They keep talking about that down here. If you own your home, to truly own it, you have to own it free and clear of the government. You shouldn't have to pay rent to the government. Ron DeSantis hitting hard. Broward County ballooned budget 60% with 0 population growth. I mean, dude, that is so freaking greasy. That has got to be just, they got to get that shit under control, man. There's no justifiable reason they should balloon the budget up 60% when there hasn't been any increase in the population. That's insane. Homeowners tired of paying forever on homes they already own. And we'll take a look at this from Governor DeSantis.
Property tax but it's not something I can just ask the legislature, hey, cut the millage, do this, do that, because they don't have constitutional authority to do the local taxes. That is your counties and your cities. So what we're going to do is we're going to place a question on the ballot that is going to allow Floridians to be able to vote themselves relief from property tax. And as I said, my vision is, if you own your home, to truly own it, you have to own it free and clear of the government. You shouldn't have to pay rent to the government.
All right. Well, I'm a little weary on this because where the school budget's going to come from and other things that property taxes pay for, it sounds like we could potentially, and this is just my own personal thought, I haven't read this anywhere, but I just have a bad feeling that state income tax may end up happening down the road, and I pray that it doesn't. If that is their ultimate plan, they need to let us know, and they need to put a little asterisk at the bottom of that and say, look, you can be relieved of your property taxes, but we might start charging you state income taxes because we don't have income taxes right now. Hustle Beach. Costco is building apartments on top of its stores to bypass housing laws. Costco wanted to build a new store in South Central LA. LA's approval process said years of hearings, reviews, and a possible last-minute no. So Costco found a loophole. Mixed-use projects, housing plus retail, gets automatic approval if they meet state rules. So Costco stacked housing on top of the store. The result is 800 studio apartments, 470,000 square feet of residential space. 25% of it is Section 8 prefab units shipped in to cut labor costs. Union labor only for final on-site assembly, as well as gym, pool, and amenities. Families won't fit, but if you're young, broke, and trying to survive LA, this might actually work. Oh, and Costco is downstairs. So what is this, a dystopian corporate housing future or the smartest housing hack America's built in decades?
Costco may have just solved the affordable housing crisis by being greedy, and I'm not sure how to feel about that. You see, Costco wanted to build a new store in South Central Los Angeles, and if you're not familiar with commercial property development in LA, it is a massive regulatory pain. Public hearings, site reviews, environmental impact studies, it can take several years and millions of dollars jumping through all of the hoops, and at the end of it, you still might not get a green light because it's all subject to discretionary approval.
Or you can just build somewhere else.
Say
to hell with LA.
No, even at the last minute. But mixed-use housing projects, i.e. apartments on top of a store or office building, as long as they meet certain criteria, are exempt from the discretionary reviews. Which means as long as everything else is above board, you will get approved automatically. So Costco said,
oh yeah, if that's the case, this is definitely happening in LA.
Put a bunch of apartments on top of it. And to satisfy all the housing laws, the project needs to be 2/3 residential. So a 185,000 square foot store needs 370,000
Yeah, I've rented from corporate apartments and so on. I'm sure a lot of people who may be listening to this have to, and you also know it's a nightmare because every year they raise your rent. They raise it and raise it until you reach your maximum to where you cannot rent there anymore and you have to move. And you just have to rinse and repeat. It's fine when you're young. When you're young, it's no big deal because you get to change the scenery, you get to rearrange your living conditions and all that. I mean, I've always enjoyed moving around when I was younger, but I don't like moving anymore, man.
Because you've only got to use union labor at the actual...
All right, well, anyway, I'll repost this if you want to check out the rest of that. Matter of fact, here, let me repost the one from DeSantis because I didn't finish that either. And I'll get that one reposted. Yeah, man, when I was younger, like I'd say probably in the first 30 years of my life, I moved at least 20 times, 20, 21, maybe 22 times. I counted it once. It was in the 20s. I moved a lot. Well, plus my dad was in the Air Force, so we moved around a lot when I was younger too. But anyway, yeah, I'm 41. I don't want to move anymore. I just want to stay where I'm at. Anyway, Colin Rogue, New North Carolina State Highway Patrol reported 750 collisions statewide spanning from 12 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturday. According to meteorologist Brian Hurley, some areas of North Carolina will be approaching 18 to 20 inches of snow. Chief of Greenville Fire Department Brian Horton says they had more wrecks in the last hour than we had all of last weekend. Stay safe, everyone. It was wild in North Carolina with all this snow. The Outer Banks looked like a full-on blizzard. There you go. That's the Outer Banks, I'm assuming.
Holy moly. And then that house is about to go.
Man, that's miserable. I mean, at least people are helping out each other. You gotta admire their sense of community. Oh yeah, that's not copyright at all. That was a lot of snow they were trying to trek through. Okay. A lot of snow, North Carolina. A. Gene Robinson. So these people are trying to cut through the trail instead of going around. Why do I feel happy for them? Is there something wrong with me? So this is my last post for this video. And this is a hilarious thing to finish off on. Oh man, is that bad for laughing at that? Oh no. At least he hit the brakes. Bam! You know, full on clothesline. The best I can make out is that the trail is supposed to go this way, and I'm assuming this side must be their private property. That would just be my guess. I'm guessing that's it. All right, but anyway, that's all I got for this video. What a wild weekend. Again, I'll just take all of these links that I gathered from the Epstein files and from everything else, and I'll drop it all below in the description if you want to have a look at that. So if you enjoyed the video, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It'll mean a lot to me if you subscribe. And I'll be dropping a new episode of The Swamp starting tomorrow night, covering the swamp and everyone in it, the politicians, the bureaucrats, the agencies, and everything else. And also, I post daily to X, so feel free to comment over there too if you'd like. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you had a great weekend. Hope you have a great rest of your night, and God bless America.